ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. New orders overnight from Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche could help lock up his nomination to get the job permanently. One ends the so-called anti-weaponization fund. The other limits the Trump family's immunity from IRS audits. Both issues raised by Republican senators blocking Blanche's nomination. Hundreds of homes destroyed in eastern Washington by wildfires. ABC's Alex Stone is in Spokane.
People had to get out with little to no warning, and it was bumper to bumper on Saturday night. Police were telling people use every side road you can, that this is about saving your life right now. It was in high wind, and this was all about the wind. It was wind-driven. It was going in 50-mile-an-hour winds, and there's no stopping. No matter how many firefighters you have, there is no stopping a fire that is in winds like those.
President Trump saying a deal with Iran may be imminent, pausing what he says were planned large-scale attacks. This is ABC News. Mourners gathered along the Passaic River in northern New Jersey over the weekend to remember two 10-year-olds who drowned days earlier when the river was flooded from recent storms. ABC's Lucy Yang talked to mourners at the memorial.
Thinking of the mothers right now.
Blue and pink rose petals floated down the Passaic River this Sunday. It was strikingly beautiful. More so, it was painfully tragic.
She was precious. She was sweet.
Former preschool teacher remembering Millian Dula. The young child's body was finally found after 3 agonizing days, a search that ended about half a mile downriver from where she disappeared. The other victim, a 10-year-old boy, we're told he died a hero, pushing his 11-year-old sister to the rocks so she could escape the raging waters.
Millions are on alert across the mid-Atlantic and the Northeast for heavy downpours that could result in more flash flooding today. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It is 6:02. We have clear skies, 65 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Drownings are up 80% in Missouri compared to last year, and this weekend proved to be another deadly one on area waterways. The most recent victim, a man whose body was recovered from the Merrimack River more than an hour after he fell in.
Sunday afternoon in Merrimack State Park around 4 o'clock, the latest victim never resurfaced from the boat ramp. 2 other people, a 25-year-old from Parkville, Missouri, drowned in Table Rock Lake Saturday. And on Friday, a 72-year-old man from Fulton, Missouri, died in the Gasconade River when he tried to retrieve a vessel on the boat ramp. Sunday's drowning now brings the number of people who have lost their lives on Missouri waterways to 29. Missouri State Troopers have important reminders if you intend to get in the water. Be aware of hazards such as the current, waves, rocks, vegetation, and drop-offs. Always swim with at least one other person. Never leave children unattended on or near the water. The safest way to assist a person drowning is by extending an object or throwing a flotation device. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Ferguson Police and the St. Louis County prosecutor will hold a news conference today to announce the arrest of someone involved in the June 30th shooting death of Shaquila Martin. Ferguson Police Chief Troy Doyle says the 35-year-old Martin was gunned down in front of her children while buying them some drinks at a convenience store.
Doyle says while the arrest is a major step forward, there is much more work to be done on the case. Our partners at Fox 2 report suspect Marcus Evans is jailed on $2 million bond, charged with second-degree murder, first-degree assault, and 2 counts of armed criminal action.
The future of the 442nd Fighter Wing at Whiteman Air Force Base in west central Missouri becomes a little clearer. KMOX's Michael Calhoun has a follow-up.
The Air Force has selected Whiteman as the sole candidate location for a new F-15E Strike Eagle mission. Missouri United States Congressman Mark Alford says the decision is important for military families, jobs, and communities in west central Missouri.
We were in jeopardy, I think, of losing a large part of the workforce that really supports that platform and possibly moving out of state.
Alford says the F-15E mission would help to keep airmen, civilian employees, and their families in west central Missouri for years to come. The Air Force current plan calls for 24 Strike Eagles to be assigned to Whiteman. The first aircraft are expected to arrive by 2031. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
New cuts to Medicare Part D will hurt those enrolled, according to the former chief medical officer at Express Scripts.
Dr. Ed Weisbart says the subsidies were created to keep premiums down while enabling caps on drug spending. Weisbart says by making drugs more affordable, it's made the program far better for patients, adding he can't understand why the Trump administration decided to cut the subsidy a year and a half early.
Those subsidies were planned to continue protecting people up until the end of 2027, but for whatever reason, which is beyond my pay grade, the federal government decided to intervene now and end those subsidies much more quickly.
Miriam Roden is a physician on a fixed income and is also enrolled in Part D. She says although she isn't poor, the expected premium hike will be felt in her budget, and especially for those less fortunate.
To me, it's just an additional expense because I'm on a fixed income.
And then obviously it might be harder for someone who isn't as well off.
Such as my kids.
Weisbart says he expects many enrolled in Part D to switch to Medicare Advantage, which is a far more difficult health care to navigate. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
We've been advocating for a long time for people with disabilities to live in the community.
That's Tom Wilson with the Alliance for Community Services, who says a Supreme Court ruling more than 25 years ago aims to help get more residents out of nursing homes and back into their own homes. But Illinois has fallen behind, he says. Governor Pritzker signed a package of legislation that protects some of the most vulnerable Illinoisans, including expanding safeguards for older adults, people with disabilities, children who are deaf or hard of hearing, and individuals with serious mental illness.
From the serious to the silly to the sublime, there's something for everyone at the 15th annual STL Fringe Fest kicking off today. President and Artistic Director Matthew Kearns says the headline series includes
Dear Evan Hansen being done by Debut Theater Company, and they're taking that musical and they're staging it in the round at the Marcel Theater, which is a way this story has never been told before. We also have the Cherokee Street Theater Company back, and they're doing a new show called The Wizard of Oz's, and they're smashing together The Wizard of Oz, The Boy from Oz, The Wiz, and a few others to make all of the Dorothys have one adventure together.
There's a puppet show, burlesque, and even a love story to the people of St. Louis Transit. More than 45 different shows and multiple performances will take place through August 9th.
Puppingham Palace, the dog daycare and boarding business in Wildwood, has opened a second location in Oakville. The South County Puppingham in the Victoria Crossing Plaza on Telegraph Road has space for 110 dogs, according to the Business Journal. It's owned by former special education teacher Audrey O'Brien.
Great name. Puppingham Palace. At 6:07, traffic and weather next.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this ad for your morning commute to wake you up, which could help your driving. Science says that stimulating the brain increases alertness. So here's a pop quiz. How many months have 28 days? What gets wetter as it dries? What has keys but can't open locks? If you don't want to hear the answers, turn off this Liberty Mutual ad now. 12 months, a towel, piano. Enjoy being fully alert.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Let me tell you something about insurance. When you sign your insurance policy, for some brokers, that's the finish line. Handshake, commission, done. Then you may not hear from them again until it's time for renewal. But your business runs all year, so do the gaps and the risk. So go to Supersure.com. If your company has more than 25 employees, whether you're the owner, CFO, or HR manager, it can be too complex to just go buy a policy online. Supersure is the super agency built for you, licensed in every state for your business insurance and employee benefits, all with year-round support for you and your team. At Supersure.com, you can access tools like fine print facts. It'll translate your current policy into plain English so you see what's covered and what's not. Plus a business value calculator so you can estimate what your business is worth so you know what actually needs protecting. Go to Supersure.com. One super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Supersure.com. That's Supersure.com. Paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
Are moles tearing up your yard? Don't let these lawn invaders turn your beautiful property into a mess. Rottler Pest Solutions offers professional mole control services to protect your lawn from damage. Visit Rottler.com today to schedule your free inspection.
At 6:10, here is Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, things are looking good out there, Debbie. It's still light enough volume that I'm not seeing any delays really anywhere. Like I said, the only thing we had was a stall on North 270 at 70. Now they're reporting one near Dorset, but again, it looks like it's on the shoulder. So two different ones, North 270, but not causing any delays. In fact, North 270 looks great as you start up ramping on from 55 up through Gravois 44 up past 64. Things out west look okay. 70 coming in from Warrenton, Wentzville area. Everything's good to go there. Now tonight during the overnight hours, they're going to be beginning shifting lanes to the left on westbound 70, just the westbound side. From the weigh scales, that's the truck weigh scales just east of Forestell out to the Warren County line. So this will take multiple nights, obviously. So 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. nightly, there are going to be lane shifts going on. And that shift, once they get it complete, will last into the fall as another phase of this Rebuild 70 project continues. Next update at 6:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg with the very latest on this nice weather for August.
Sunshine mixed with a few clouds at times today and quite pleasant this afternoon, high 84. Then tonight will be clear, low 68. Mostly sunny tomorrow, a bit warmer for the afternoon, high 89. Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds, rather hot and humid, the high 92. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It's actually getting cooler out there. 65 in Florissant, 64 in St. Peter's, and clear in 65 downtown at the Arch.
It is 6:11. United St. Louis. That's a new group formed to take another look at city-county reunification, and the nonprofit is planning a comprehensive economic and fiscal impact study that would look at the region's economic competitiveness, what the costs of the city continuing to operate independently would be, duplicated services, and disparities between city and county taxes.
United St. Louis was created in January after about a year of talking to area business leaders, according to the Business Journal. The Regional Business Council recently said about two-thirds of its members surveyed support city reentry as the preferred approach. 74% said the organization should openly engage in discussions.
A babysitting class in St. Louis County teaches teens more than just CPR. The St. Louis County Library is offering a Safe Sitter babysitting program once a month through the end of the year, with the next one happening August 29th at the Cliff Cave branch in Oakville. Teens ages 12 through 16 are eligible for the free class, which program instructor and reference librarian Anthony Martinez says covers more than just first aid, choking, rescue, and CPR.
Including calling the potential employer back, don't text them. And then when you do meet them in person for the first time, good old-fashioned handshake and, a smile, like stuff that I've noticed that the kids don't feel super comfortable with, which makes sense. They're younger.
Martinez says participants will also leave the 6-hour class with a certification and a handbook.
Could those popular weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy help treat veterans with alcohol addiction? The U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs is launching a landmark clinical trial to find out.
Previous large studies have shown that GLP-1 drugs have helped people with substance abuse disorders. Fox News senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Siegel.
The VA is saying, let's do it in a smaller group of patients. Let's do it in 400 patients. Let's do it across 18 centers over 24 weeks. Let's do it in a double-blinded randomized trial where we prove it.
The St. Louis VA hospital, however, is not one of the 18 sites taking part in this clinical study. Currently, more than 400,000 veterans nationwide are diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
How do you wind down at the end of a long day? If you reach for your cell phone and start scrolling, that may be a bad idea.
Whether it's social media, shopping, or playing games, the internet is full of temptations, and apps are designed to keep our attention. Jillian Amadeo is a social worker and founder of Mums for Mental Health.
What happens is we're not giving our brain a break. We're still on input mode. So after that difficult day, processing decisions, deadlines, conversations, challenges, whatever it is, social media and news content is just still giving your brain input signals saying you need to process this. It's not really giving us that downtime that we're actually looking for.
She says we've gotten into the habit of, if I'm not consuming, what am I doing? But when you're trying to relax and unwind, consuming can often do more harm than good. I'm Chris Sedens.
Now, KMOX Sports from the St. Luke's Hospital Sports Desk. St. Luke's, St. Louis's #1 heart hospital.
Well, Cardinals fans will be consuming social media today. You can bet on that. It is Major League Baseball trade deadline day, 5 p.m. Central Time. They'll be scrounging for any bit of information they can get. Chaim Bloom, Cardinals president of baseball operations, with us coming up in 7 minutes at 6:22. As for the club, playing in Toronto yesterday, the final time they will all be together. You have to imagine some of them are going to go today at the deadline.
The 2-0 pitch. Fermin rockets one into center. Base hit. The Cardinals lead. The ball's dropped by Varsho. Holding on at second, Torres. An RBI hit for Fermin, and the Cardinals go back in front after a disappointing run in the bottom of the eighth tied the game.
Jose Fermin with the RBI to put the Cardinals on top. They were up 3-1 when Jordan Walker stepped up.
Varland with the pitch. Walker hits it hard. Left field base hit. 2 runs are going to score. 5-1 Cardinals in the ninth inning. And Walker made the Blue Jays pay for Urias' error.
And the Cardinals go on to win this game 5-1. They salvage a game in the series. They take on the Yankees tonight at 6:05. Again, Chaim Bloom on the way at 6:22 to discuss how the pitching market looks. Got to imagine a starting pitcher, Dustin May, is probably going to be traded today, along with some others, perhaps some veteran relievers, and maybe even some starting position players as the Cardinals look to acquire prospects and build for their future. What does the future look like for Billiken basketball? Interesting in that a judge made a ruling, an injunction that allows 2022 athletes to have an extra year of eligibility. You know who one of those is? Robbie Avila. And would he come back to SLU? I asked Josh Schertz, the Billikens coach, that very question. Of course, fans are dying to know if Robbie's part of that mix. I mean, that would probably be way too soon to be talking about your big man.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so many steps there. Certainly, look, you know, if it was to ever work like that, and these guys are ruled eligible and all that type of stuff, you know, Robbie's a very, you know, easy guy to say, hey, we do that with. It's about a guy that, you know, wouldn't have to adapt to the system and wouldn't have to, you know, would know everything coming in the door. But I think there's a lot of things when you're looking at a situation that you gotta try to you know, figure out and look at a lot of variables to table. And you know, first for Robbie, you know, you know, first off, they got to get eligible, and it's got to be, you know, sustained in a court that these guys are going to be able to play. I think that's the number one thing. I don't think it's as done as what people think. I think between the courts and I think the you know, the Protect College Sports Act, which I think now will have some traction with the Big Ten and the SEC getting behind that on Friday as well. There's two things that might hinder that, and then I think, you know, if it does, then there's all kinds. Then you actually start to look at, okay, does this make sense with what our roster is, with what Robbie wants? Is, you know, I mean, and there's all these other, you know, things you got to take into account and make sure, because, you know, the thing for Rob that he's done is you know, certainly his 2 years at St. Louis. I don't think he was on the radar, you know, at that level before that, but certainly after his sophomore year, he took a major discount to come to St. Louis and to stay at St. Louis, and I'm talking about, you know, millions of dollars. You know, I wouldn't want him to do that again. You know, I wouldn't want that to be the case for him. I think he needs to capitalize and certainly maximize his earning opportunities. That's here or elsewhere. And certainly he and I have spoken, and we'll continue. We're in touch anyway, regardless of these rulings. He and I talk a couple of times a week. So, you know, we'll play it by ear, see what happens. But the first step is always, you know, is this injunction going to hold? Does that, you know, take the House settlement from last year and throw that out the window? And now that's no longer valid. I think the next week or two we'll have a little more clarity on how we're going to proceed, because I don't think it's as done as maybe everybody thinks it is.
SLU coach Josh Schertz on KMOX's Sports on a Sunday morning. It's 6:19.
When Donald Trump needs conservative votes to help pass his agenda Trisha Burns never answers the call. Trisha Burns has missed 370 votes. Burns is bucking President Trump's priorities. Burns did not vote to stop DEI initiatives, prevent China from owning Missouri land, defund Planned Parenthood, and Burns did not vote to ban boys from girls' sports. Trisha Burns not showing up for Missouri and President Trump. Instead, Trisha Burns spends her time pulling pranks on the suicide prevention hotline. Yes, you heard that right. Trisha Burns lied to the police and staged a fake suicide emergency. She sent a series of messages to the hotline and said she, quote, had a gun to her head, end quote. When she got caught, she said there'd be no consequences because she's a politician. By August 4th, vote to show Trisha Burns that there are consequences to being bad at your job.
Let's Go Brandon PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. Chris Foss, Treasurer.
Hi, it's Margaret from Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano. I've worked with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano for more than 30 years. Their guidance and assistance with my estate planning and legal documents gives me the peace of mind that I have the retirement I've worked for and always dreamed of. And I'm playing it fully with my grandchildren, volunteering, and traveling worldwide. I play confidently knowing my estate is secured in any event. You can get your estate secured with Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano too. Visit their website, yourestateMatters.com, and download their free webinar on how to get started. Then make a free appointment. Your estate matters because you matter. Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano, yourestateMatters.com. The choice of an attorney is an important decision and should not be made solely on advertisement.
Total Information AM on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It is 6:21. Let's check in with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's still no complaints out there, Debbie. Things look great. They continue to roll along. A few more folks, but it's not bad. This traffic reports the service of Ricken Financial. If you're on northbound of 55, headed up past Butler Hill to 270, that looks good. The ramp's still clear getting onto North 270, and it's still smooth sailing up through Gravois 44. Manchester is 4 north as you need to go. We had a couple of stalls earlier north of Dorset and at 70. They were cleared to the shoulder out of the way, so no delays all the way up through that area. Coming in from out west, 70 from Warrenton. Coming in through past the Wentzville area and southbound 61. If you're coming down that way, it looks good down to 64 or 70, and both of them still cruising across the Missouri River bridges, and things on the Illinois side still in great shape. No delays right now, evidence in either direction on 5570 between 64 and 255 in that construction area. Next update at 6:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Jerry Ricken and Heidi Ricken Provost covered the 3 key pillars of retirement planning: income, risk, and your tax strategy. Join us for Kickin' with the Rickens, Redefining Retirement, every Saturday at 3 p.m. right here on KMOX.
Sunny to partly cloudy, pleasant today, a high of 84. Tonight, clear, low 68. Tomorrow, another nice one, sunny, warm in the afternoon, and a high of 89. It's 65 right now. Just hours from Major League Baseball's trade deadline, big one, first one for Cardinals president of baseball operations Chaim Bloom. Over the weekend, a huge deal sent 2-time Cy Young Award winner Tarek Skubal from the Detroit Tigers to the Los Angeles Dodgers. And I asked Bloom what that impact is on the market. Does the Skubal deal to the Dodgers get that moving even faster? Does it help set a pitcher's market? What does that do?
Yeah, I would say it will, just because, again, some of it's a timing thing where it is the last couple days, and this is around when things would pick up anyway. But obviously, you're talking about someone who is a very unique player to have on the trade market, even as someone who's a quote-unquote rental, just because he's so decorated. And so when someone like that comes off the board, obviously that's going to really start things moving. I don't know that I would say it sets the market in the sense that, every team has different preferences. Every deal is kind of individual, but it's more that if you're a team out there at this point and you're willing to really expend some future value to bolster yourself in the here and now with something short term, he I imagine would have been one of the best players on most teams' boards. And the fact that he goes somewhere, obviously he's just going to start greasing the wheels on everything else.
This interview is not meant to show your cards or, create leverage issues for you. But I do want to ask, is there something that you think the organization needs now? I mean, are you going into this with needs, or are you open to whatever comes your way?
I don't know that that's an either or. I think it's a good question. Look, we're always, if you have too narrow a view on what you might want to take out of a particular trade deadline, you might miss some opportunities. There's a lot of different ways to build an organization, to build a team, to build a core. And, there are situations where something could come available where you might feel like, hey, this isn't a need. We're doubling down on a strength, but it's a really good player and this guy fits us and we want to bring him in-house. You can never have too much depth in any area. That said, I think you can look around the field, both at the big league level and even in the upper minors, and identify, look, these are places where we feel set, where we feel spoken for. These are places where it'd be really good to bring in someone who could complement this group and, be a real factor here going forward. And I would highlight those as needs. But again, I think you got to stay open-minded to wherever there are good players out there. Those types of guys don't often come available. If they're there, you want to see if you can snag them.
Do you feel confident that Quinn Matthews can be part of your rotation moving forward based on what we saw yesterday?
We really like Quinn, and that was exciting yesterday to see him come up and do that and hold his own and look like he belonged here in the big leagues. Obviously, the game didn't turn out our way, and there were a couple things I'm sure he, of all people, and I know he can be really tough on himself and hold himself to a really high standard. He'd tell you that he would have wanted to do some things differently, and some of those will come with time just in terms of finishing hitters. But just to see him attack, to see him get to 2 strikes so many times, he has the stuff to be able to finish those at-bats. And for him over the last 2 years, this guy burst on the scene in 2024 and hits a wall in AAA. It took him longer than most to get through that wall and really slow the game down at that level. But in doing so, I think he became a much more complete pitcher, and he was able to show that off yesterday. We'll obviously see how it plays out from here with respect to opportunities in 2026. I'm sure there's going to be more of them for him. But more important, I think going forward, he looks like a guy who could fit as we try to rack up arms that are of the caliber to get us back to the top of this division.
A few minutes left with Chaim Bloom here. We're on a tight schedule because of an early Cardinals game. What is the readiness of Joshua Baez at this point? How is he moving along?
Yeah, he, there have been points this summer where he was just absolutely on fire. You and I talked about it on certain weeks when he looked unstoppable. And then, since then there have been some ups and downs where he has gone through some slumps. Again, that's part of the nature of it. And that's part of the value of really going through a season or a good chunk of a season at each level, just to see how you adapt and adjust. The thing that stands out to me with him is even through this, you do not see the work ever waver. You don't see the maturity ever waver. Like, this is a special person who's come a long way as a baseball player. And he has been knocking on the door for a little while. We view him as continuing to do that. I certainly think he's benefiting from navigating through some of those ups and downs. And even at that level, it's not like the big leagues, but they do adjust to you. They do figure out what weaknesses to pick apart over the course of the season. So it's done him, I think, well to go through that and to show how he adjusts to that. But he's certainly on the map to be able to contribute in the big leagues at some point fairly soon. And, we'll see obviously how things play out, but we'll definitely see that in his future and potentially fairly soon.
Chaim Bloom talks to us every week on Sports on a Sunday Morning. Yesterday was a big one, a day before the trade deadline, 5 o'clock today, 6:28. Time check sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Steve Ellman leads St. Charles County. Ellman has fought for smart growth and moratoriums on apartments and data centers. Ellman doubled our parks, increased our conservation land, and helped create 50,000 new jobs. Ellman has built hundreds of miles of new roads. Ellman prioritized law enforcement and put officers in schools, making our county safest in the region. And Steve Ellman eliminated the county's real and now personal property taxes. While Steve Ellman leads, Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel promised to cut your property taxes for 8 years, but never did. Instead, he didn't pay his own taxes. Eigel was rebuked by President Trump's lawyer for misleading and scamming donors to pay for his campaigns. Eigel said he's against data centers, but he never voted to regulate data center abuses, but did vote to give tax dollars to benefit the company behind the St. Charles data center.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve Ellman, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
I'm Bob Burke, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
It is 6:30. We do have sunshine in downtown St. Louis. It is 66 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, things still don't look bad. At least on the highways, things are in good shape. It's a little busier on some of the secondaries. I'm seeing a little volume on Tesson Ferry northbound Butler Hill headed up through the Schussler. If you're on eastbound 30, it looks a little busier from Mauer up the hill to 270 as well. But once you get on 270, it's a great run from 55 up through 44 Manchester, 64. It all looks fine. Southbound 61 still looks okay coming down from Wentzville Parkway or even further north than that. Eastbound 70 and 64 from the Wentzville split headed across the Missouri River bridges. Not seeing any delays there so far. And it still look okay downtown. There's just a little slowdown building in the construction zone now. Eastbound 5570, 203. About midway into 111. There's no delay on the westbound side, and the rest of the westbound runs look great across the Poplar and Musial Veterans Bridges so far for you. Next update at 640 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is going to be a really nice day today. So our first Monday in August looks sunny to partly cloudy with a high of 84. Gets a little bit warmer as we head through the week, but not bad. Mostly sunny, 89 tomorrow, 92 on Wednesday, then back into the upper 80s for Thursday and Friday, and then we'll have a couple chances later in the week of a storm or two. Right now it's sunny and 66.
St. Louis County court documents show the arrest of Marcus Evans for the June 30th shooting death of Shaquilla Martin outside a Ferguson convenience store. Evans is charged with second-degree murder, first-degree assault, and 2 counts of armed criminal action.
Investigators believe Martin was an innocent bystander struck by a stray bullet. A news conference is planned for today in Ferguson, where police will update the latest on the case.
ICE has taken one person into custody following a chase in St. Charles Sunday morning. According to police, officers tried pulling a driver over on the Punman Parkway overpass, and police say the vehicle pulled into the Sam's Club parking lot, where 2 people got out and ran. Both were taken into custody. One was released for medical attention. Police are still looking for the driver.
A public health expert doesn't think it's a coincidence that measles cases are skyrocketing and decreases like cyclospora aren't being caught before diseases, I should say, like cyclospora are not being caught before they infect large segments of the population.
Dr. Hashish Jha, a senior fellow at Harvard Belfer Center and the former COVID-19 response coordinator in the Biden administration, is talking with CNN following Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. making some unsubstantiated claims.
The truth is that the last 2 years, we've had more measles cases than the entire rest of the 21st century. The last 25 years, we've had fewer cases combined than the last 2. Maybe that's a coincidence. I don't think it is. I think the administration has not done enough to promote vaccines, has not done enough to highlight the harms that come from measles. Measles is still quite a dangerous virus, and we should be doing a lot more. And by the way, this is not in isolation. We've seen the largest cyclospora outbreak in years. We're seeing other public health, the screwworm, coming back into the U.S. This is part of a broader pattern that we're seeing.
Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
634, your Money Minute is next. The news sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts. michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
For the last 33 years, you've discovered that at Banner Construction, we pride ourselves on quality craftsmanship. We believe the single most important decision homeowners must make when considering an exterior restoration project is, who do you hire? At Banner, we provide well-engineered, meaningful, long-term solutions to transform your home into the pride of the neighborhood. Let us help you fall in love with your home all over again. Call 314-569-1050 or visit bannerconstruction.com and have a banner day.
And Doug.
Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons, and lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. When pain starts to slow you down, BJC Healthcare and WashU Medicine orthopedic specialists are here to help. Nationally recognized leaders in orthopedics deliver care that's informed by research and personalized for you. From everyday aches to complex injuries and recovery, we're here to help you get back to doing what you love. Find an orthopedic specialist today. Visit bjc.org/orthopedics or call 314-362-9355.
It is 6:35, and we're 5 minutes away from another check of the roadways and the weather here on Total Information AM. But first, let's get you caught up on your money report. It is sponsored by Eamon, Gantner, and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Federal Reserve Chair Kevin Warsh is said to have raised the possibility of changing the frequency of the central bank's regular policy meetings. One idea Warsh floated is for the Fed to meet 6 times a year to decide on interest rates and other monetary policy issues, and twice a year for discussion of a significant economic topic. The Fed meets 8 times a year to set interest rates. Turning to trading, the event of the week for Wall Street is the July jobs report, which will be out on Friday. Ahead of that, stocks are seeing gains. S&P futures are up 38 points, Dow futures gaining 335. And energy executives are out with a warning. Even if oil prices drop, don't expect much relief at the pump. ExxonMobil and Chevron say a global shortage of refining capacity is keeping gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel prices elevated. Nearly 10% of the world's ability to refine crude oil is effectively offline due to the wars in Russia and the Middle East and other factors. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
Hey, Mom, now that I have an after-school job, I think I want to buy a drum kit.
Okay, Rockstar. Let's look at your account.
When kids start making money, Chase has easy-to-use tools and expert bankers to help them learn how to manage it.
And next month, I'll buy the bass drum and the cymbals. Oh, and maybe some noise-canceling headphones for you.
Aw, you've thought of everything.
Help kids save, budget, and build financial independence, all with Chase. That's good for kids and good for parents. Visit your local Chase branch and get started.
Account subject to approval. J.P. Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
This is the story of the one who keeps multiple buildings running smoothly day after day. Plumbing that flows, HVAC that hums, cleaning supplies that keep surfaces sparkling. That's why she counts on Grainger. With easy reordering online and 24/7 support, Grainger helps her keep the products she needs on hand. So shelves stay stocked and buildings stay ready. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Listen up. If you have not paid self-employment, business, or individual taxes in years, the IRS will find you. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. I offer real solutions. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Story, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. At the Lance Story Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Giddy up! It's the Cardinal Cowboy. Don't let garage door problems bench your summer plans. From repairs, tune-ups, and replacements, Renner Garage Door hits a grand slam every time. Score a free repair or replacement quote today, plus $100 off a new garage door. Featuring trusted brands like Delden, Amar, and LiftMaster, Renner delivers the quality, reliability, and performance your home can count on. RennerDoorSTL.com. Forward and back.
RENNER, RENNER.
Nothing makes a gathering great like Eggland's Best Eggs. They're just so delicious with better nutrition, too. For us, it's eggs any style, as long as they're the best. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
640, here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's not all that slow out there so far this morning, Tom. This traffic reports a service of I-3 Broadband. We do have some slow going in the work zone on the Illinois side, eastbound 5570, east of 203. Not even quite midway into 111, just starting to bog down a little bit through that area. On the Missouri side, interstates in work zones and otherwise, things continue to roll along. It looks great coming in from out west, 70 from Warrenton to Wentzville, and 70 and 64, southbound 61 included. Coming out of Wentzville, look great headed across the Missouri River Bridges. Just some slower traffic down south, north 55, a little busy at 141. Northbound Tesson Ferry, north of Butler Hill up to Schuessler, slow, and eastbound 30, Mauer up the hill to 270 is kind of busy on that run as well. With the kids home for the summer, you have a house. Your house is a digital zoo of streaming and gaming. Switch to i3 Broadband and upgrade your summer. Head over to i3broadband.com/radio today or call 1-866-806-5485 to upgrade today, because life runs better on fiber, and i3 Broadband is here for you. Next update is 6:50 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It is almost 6:42. We've got some bright sunshine in downtown St. Louis. What's in store for us this week, Joe Lundberg?
I think today's the best day of the bunch with sunshine, a few fair weather clouds that bubble up, low humidity and temperatures well below the historical average, which, by the way, is 90, only getting to 84. Tonight will be clear, low of 68. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, gets quite warm, but again, the humidity's not that bad, the high 89. The heat and humidity build a little bit more on Wednesday. It may be the hottest day of the week, though, at 92 with some sunshine. Thursday gets a little cloudier, not quite as hot, and there can be a thunderstorm or two that pops up in the afternoon, the high 87. It will stay in the 80s on Friday with clouds, some sun, a good chance for a shower or thunderstorm. Right now, 65 degrees under those sunny skies at St. Peter, 68 in Florissant, and it is 70 with that sunshine downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Thank you, Joe. Sports coming up in 2 minutes at 6:43. President Trump is signaling a possible end to the war with Iran again, saying a deal is imminent.
President Trump says negotiations with Iran are picking back up, adding he called off an attack on Iran over the weekend at the request of Gulf allies, including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates.
It was going to be an attack that would have been by far the biggest attack since World War II, but they've asked us not to do it.
Over the weekend, Iranian leaders said negotiations with Oman regarding the opening of the Strait of Hormuz are in their final stages, but the strait will not go back to the way it was pre-war. Karen Hua, ABC News, Washington.
New details in the deadly shooting rampage at an In-N-Out restaurant in Idaho. 3 people were killed, 7 injured before the shooter turned the gun on himself. Here's ABC's Hannah Battah.
Lindsay Tangai heard the shots.
It was just mass chaos. The attention was
everybody running from in and out.
She found several victims, including her friend Terry Dudley, a taxi driver who was shot in his car.
And so I walked over and Terry was in his front seat, still conscious at the moment, but not really able to communicate.
That In-N-Out opened just days ago, drawing massive crowds. The company says one of its employees is among the dead, saying the shooter took the precious lives of our associate and customers, innocent people who never saw it coming.
There are growing concerns over the security of water systems across the U.S. as more states report they've been the victim of a suspected cyber attack. ABC's Morgan Norwood tells us more than a half dozen states are now reporting problems.
The scope of the security failure now widening. 9 reported attacks in Michigan as the FBI and EPA warn utility companies that hackers are trying to disrupt service to critical water infrastructure. At least 7 states have reported some kind of incursion. In one case, the hackers were able to change passwords and network settings, preventing operators from controlling the flow of water into the tiny city of Brand, Minnesota.
So far, there's no indication about potential attacks on Illinois or Missouri's water systems.
A U.S. district judge clarifies his NCAA eligibility order concerning the new 5-for-5 rule.
The judge, who granted the right to play another year of college sports to some athletes whose eligibility ran out last school year, issued a new order to make clear that that does not include football players who signed pro contracts this summer and then had a change of heart. The judge was responding to an NCAA request for clarity about a Friday ruling that granted a 5th year to athletes who graduated high school in 2022 and were not included in the new NCAA rule that allows 5 seasons of eligibility for Division I players. Friday's decision still stands but has no impact on other NCAA rules. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Now, KMOX Sports from the St. Luke's Hospital Sports Desk. St. Luke's, St. Louis's #1 heart hospital.
On that Lisa Dwyer report, SLU coach Josh Schertz told us yesterday on Sports on a Sunday Morning that time will tell if that will include Robbie Avila looking for another year of eligibility. As for what the future holds for Avila and SLU, Schertz telling us that Avila received quite a discount to go to St. Louis University. He said, quote, millions of dollars, so he wouldn't want to deny him an opportunity to make more in NIL money elsewhere. But the two do stay in touch, and it is certainly something worth watching. The trade deadline is today at 5 o'clock Central Time, and here are the deals that have gone down since the massive one with Tarek Skubal going to the Dodgers over the weekend. In case you didn't see that one, and I don't know where you were, but it was a big one. The Detroit Tigers acquired 3 prospects from the Dodgers. Zaire Hope, who's the number 25 prospect in baseball. He's an outfielder, and pitchers River Ryan and Brady Smith. The Dodgers can afford to do this, not just money. They have a lot of prospects in their farm system. They have the best farm system in baseball, pretty much. So the Dodgers are able to do deals like this. They are able to send 3 high-level players, well, 2, Brady Smith maybe not a high level, but Hope and Ryan are, for a pitcher the caliber of Skubal. And yes, they have the resources to sign Skubal for the future if they want. For right now, it is a rental. The other deals started to move in the starting pitching market as a result. Freddie Peralta went from the Mets to the Rays for 3 prospects. Kevin Gossman from the Blue Jays to the Cubs for a pair of minor leaguers, and right-hander Tyler Mahle went from the Giants to the Braves for right-hander Anthony Molina. As for the Yankees, they picked up Luis Garcia Jr. The slugger comes from the Washington Nationals, and the Yankees traded 4 prospects for Garcia Jr., including a couple of pitchers that were highly thought of. Now, the Yankees will be hosting the Cardinals tonight, and what will the Cardinals roster look like? Chaim Bloom, Cardinals president of baseball operations, is keeping his options open. He will talk to us about it a little more coming up at 7:22. You won't want to miss that. If you can't wait for that, the full conversation is up right now on our Sports on a Sunday Morning podcast page at KMOX.com. Things are moving along quite well for him. His phone is getting a lot of calls, a lot of interest in his players, and the Cardinals remain focused on the future. Anything they do today, he said, has the future in mind. As for this rebuild that they are doing, putting this organization back on a World Series track. The Cardinals lost to the Blue Jays yesterday, over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, but they won yesterday. They captured a game in the series. Jose Fermin broke a 1-1 tie in the ninth, and then the floodgates opened as the Cardinals supported their pitcher Matthew Liberatore and won 5-1. Cards and Yankees tonight at 6:05. Who's Hot, Who's Not, sponsored by St. Louis Composting, growing gardens and making memories. St. Louis Composting, located right here in St. Louis. 9 different locations for you to pick up soil, mulch, or compost. A fresh layer of mulch in your flower beds and around your trees is the fastest way to make your yard pop. It's going to look great, refresh your entire landscape. Your soil is very important, especially when we get into any drought conditions in the next month or so. Top dressing it makes your lawn significantly more drought resistant. And compost, great for your garden. Consider that right now. Add compost to your garden beds as you prep for your fall planting season. St. Louis Composting, growing gardens, making memories. STLcompost.com.
Congress doesn't need more politicians. For nearly 30 years, Joan Von Dross dedicated her life to helping students learn, grow, and succeed. Now she's running for Congress to fight for lower healthcare costs, stronger public schools, and a more affordable future for Missouri families. Teachers solve problems. Politicians play politics.
I'm Joan Von Dross, Democrat from Missouri CD2, and I approve this message. Vote for me on August 4th.
Paid for by Von Dross for Congress.
The 3-2 pitch with the runner going a swing.
Ready to elevate your game? Join the MBA Sportscasters Forum on Tuesday, September 15th in St. Louis. Learn from Cardinals beat reporters, broadcasters, and Hall of Famer John Rooney as they break down play-by-play, reporting, interviewing, and covering the game. Then cap off the day with the Cardinals versus Giants at Busch Stadium. Step into the booth, sharpen your skills. Go to KMOX.com/events for details and registration. Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM KMOX. Debbie Monterey, Megan Lynch, Tom Ackerman. Total Information AM on 104.1 FM KMOX.
6:51 and time to check in with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Things still don't look bad out there, Debbie. This traffic reports the service of the Sandberg Phoenix Law Firm. Just a few slowdowns so far, so that's not bad. Monday mornings tend to be a pretty easy start to the week, and this one certainly is so far. If you're on eastbound Highway 30, up the hill from Mauer to 270, it's kind of slow. Tesson Ferry, Butler Hill up through Schuessler, that looks a little off the pace as well. Other than that, on the south side, 55, looking good coming up from Festus to 270, North 270. That's still clear sailing. 55 up through Gravois, 44 Manchester up past 64 out west. Southbound 61 still looks okay, getting on to eastbound 64 at 70. Coming out of Wentzville across the Missouri River bridges, and just some slow traffic eastbound 5570 between 203 and 111 downtown. Next update at 6:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sandberg Phoenix serves your business in litigation, intellectual property, and products liability. We're more than a law firm. We're committed to your success. Learn more at sandbergphoenix.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertising.
AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg says a pleasant day today with a high of 84, clear low 68 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny, warm in the afternoon, and a high of 89. Right now, it's 65 downtown at the Arch.
The news continues at 6:52. A groundbreaking for the first new residential building in downtown West since the 1960s was held Friday. The Rollick is a 6-story, $24 million development to be built on Locust, just a stone's throw from Energizer Park. Brian Pratt of AHM Group says it's part of their larger vision for the neighborhood. They're also planning to build the Rhythm on Washington Avenue as part of the $400 million City Commons project.
City Commons is a combination of historic rehabilitation, new construction, and public-private partnerships to transform about 12 acres into a district with more than 1,000 residences plus commercial space. St. Louis Development Corporation CEO Stephen Westbrooks says this project will reconnect blocks in downtown West and create activity in the neighborhood that will pave the way for future development.
Labor Day is still a little ways off, but in the topsy-turvy world of retail holiday sales, the bargains begin sooner and sooner. We get more from Rebecca Goodyan in San Francisco.
Well, get ready. It might still be high summer, but that doesn't stop the retail world from looking far ahead, very far.
We've already seen holiday advent calendars available for pre-order.
Yes, in July. That's Casey Caminiti with USA Today Shopping. Labor Day just around the corner, and that means bargains are coming even sooner. In fact, they seem to come sooner every year, starting in just the next couple of weeks. And it's a good thing if you've got a lot of shopping to do for the holidays.
I know plenty of people who use Labor Day sales in particular to stock up on holiday gifts.
And that's just Christmas and Thanksgiving. Casey also says it's a great time to start thinking about Halloween. Yep, just 3 months off. Chop, chop.
Bath and Body Works dropped a whole collection of Halloween candles.
The Disney store dropped some spooky items as well. Casey says one of the main advantages of shopping now is priceless. Less stress once you actually get to the holidays.
All right, let's settle down a little bit. I mean, are we Christmas shopping now?
I guess. Some people just love Christmas. They can't think of it soon enough.
I think it's too early for Halloween.
I agree.
There's Halloween stuff everywhere.
I agree.
Anyway, Labor Day. So summer vacation means it is coming to an end. For millions of kids and for many, getting back into that school year sleep schedule will be tough. Here's ABC News medical contributor Dr. Alok Patel.
Start 1 to 2 weeks before school starts. Try moving up that bedtime. But for some kids, moving the wake-up time earlier might be even better. You can start in small increments, such as 10 to 15 minutes.
I heard it's somebody's birthday.
Birthday excitement.
It's your birthday.
Marv Levy, the great Marv Levy, the head coach of the Buffalo Bills for 17 seasons as a head coach in the league. Do you know that he once coached at St. Louis Country Day School back in the day? Marv Levy is 101 today.
Wow.
And he was signing autographs yesterday at an autograph show in Chicago.
Good
Pretty
for
cool
him.
stuff. Yeah, I love it.
Well, other local celebrity birthdays are sponsored by Renner Garage Door, RENNER, forward and back. If you have a birthday or anniversary you would like announced in this segment, email it to totalam@kmox.com. totalam@kmox.com. Happy 89th to Paul Mackin. Happy 80th, Sherry Shields of Belleville. John Darby III is celebrating today. So are Terry Marigny, Steve Dix, Kay Danksreiter, and Ed Griffith from the Life Group. And happy birthday to my son Beck, who turned 17 yesterday.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday, Beck. And while Marv is celebrating 101, some other guy in football is celebrating his 49th. I don't know if you've heard of him. It's Tom Brady?
Oh, I think I've heard of him.
It's 6:56.
The best birthday ever.
Bill, you're an old politician.
Yup, sure am.
So you know the old-timers warned that someone trying to sell you a pig in a poke was a con man.
Well, sure.
Well, no offense, Tom, but your Politicians Amendment 5 is a pig in a poke, compelling politicians to raise our taxes without a vote of the people. And the Politicians Amendment 4 takes away our power to do anything about it. Well, let's look at what's really inside Ford 5.
Oh, don't do that.
5 hits hardest seniors and those struggling financially with new taxes on services like doctor visits, in-home care, and rent. Sales taxes could more than triple. For up to 80% of Missourians, it's a tax hike. And Amendment 4 ends majority rule, effectively ending our power to stop corrupt and out-of-control politicians.
Slick plan, huh?
No, Tom. 4 and 5 are schemes that hurt citizens and transfer our power and our money to politicians and lobbyists. That's why I'm voting no on the Politicians Amendments 4 and 5. Paid for by Missourians for Fair Government.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this ad for your morning commute to wake you up, which could help your driving. Science says that stimulating the brain increases alertness. So here's a pop quiz. How many months have 28 days? What gets wetter as it dries? What has keys but can't open locks? If you don't want to hear the answers, turn off this Liberty Mutual ad now. 12 months, a towel, piano. Enjoy being fully alert.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I'm Tom Ackerman with this month's Siteman Cancer Center Spotlight. We are discussing bone cancer. July is Bone Cancer Awareness Month, and visiting with us is Dr. Angela Herbie, medical oncologist at Siteman Cancer Center. Dr. Herbie, thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks for having me. Treatment typically involves a combination of surgery, chemotherapy, and radiation. So it's really important to have a team of specialized doctors, so surgeons, medical oncologists like myself, and radiation oncologists who are really familiar with these tumors. We know the outcomes are best when they're treated by specialists who see these tumors all the time. And we're very active in trying to move the needle forward. We have over 20 clinical trials for sarcoma patients, looking for treatments that work better, have fewer side effects, and also trying to develop ways to improve cancer detection.
Dr. Angela Herbie, thanks to Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. For more information, visit siteman.washu.edu.
All right, let's check in with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we're getting to that point where there's kind of a lull in the traffic. It's not really getting any worse. So there's a little bit more volume on the Illinois side. I'll say that. Eastbound 5570, but just there's a little bit of a slowdown eastbound approaching 111. There's a little bit of a jam up the westbound between about midway in from Black Lane to 111 on the westbound side. So that's actually a little heavier, and that popped up in the last 10 minutes. But eastbound 30 coming up the hill to 270, Tesson Ferry approaching Schuessler. Things look better there. And the rest of these interstates on both sides of the river continue to roll. Next update at 7:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
The trusted voice of St. Louis. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Oil prices falling this morning after President Trump says he is pausing major attacks on Iran to allow for negotiations. But Iran's foreign minister this morning says there are no ongoing talks with the U.S. More from ABC's Alex Perche in Washington.
There are two major sticking points for the U.S. It's that the Strait of Hormuz be open, and also Iran give up its nuclear ambitions. And frankly, you're hearing from the foreign minister who's saying that things won't return to the way they were before February 28th with the Strait of Hormuz.
The acting attorney general, Todd Blanche, issuing orders overnight. One of them limits the scope of the immunity against IRS audits for President Trump and his family. The other formally ends the anti-weaponization fund. Both were concerns raised by senators blocking Todd Blanche's nomination for the attorney general job. Another day of no flying for one of Canada's biggest airlines, WestJet, grounded by a strike by flight attendants. This is ABC News. She's been in the movies and she's been on stage constantly, but when her tour is over, Ariana Grande says she's leaving the spotlight for a while.
A representative for the 33-year-old says Grande will take a break after her tour wraps in London next month, saying she looks forward to finishing the tour and ending it on a high note, both healthily and happily, and then taking a much-deserved break from public-facing work and appearances, which has led to endless ongoing public scrutiny.
ABC's Hannah Battah. The MyPillow guy, Mike Lindell, has a court date today.
The challenge is over pillows he gives away while campaigning for Minnesota governor. A citizen who saw him hand out pillows at a 4th of July parade complained that they have a monetary value of $34.95. An administrative law judge says it appears Lindell is violating state campaign laws. The pillows have campaign literature tucked inside. Lindell says he follows all guidelines to the T. Wayne Cabot, ABC News.
I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
It is 7:02, sunny and 66 degrees downtown. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. A very nice forecast from AccuWeather's Joe Lundberg. That is coming your way after traffic at 7:10. It's a case that drew lots of attention in late June. A mother shot dead in front of her kids in Ferguson. St. Louis County Court documents show the arrest of Marcus Evans for the June 30th shooting death of Shaquilla Martin outside a convenience store. He's charged with second-degree murder, first-degree assault, and 2 counts of armed criminal action.
Investigators believe Martin was an innocent bystander struck by a stray bullet. A news conference is planned for today in Ferguson, where police will update the case.
There's been another drowning in Merrimack State Park. This happened late Sunday afternoon. A call for first responders went out saying a person fell in the water near a boat ramp. The Missouri Highway Patrol reports a man's body was recovered around 5:30 Sunday afternoon.
This comes after the Missouri Highway Patrol reported a sharp increase in the number of drownings this year compared to last. Saturday, a 25-year-old from Parkville, Missouri, was swimming in Table Rock Lake went under but never resurfaced. That was the 9th drowning for Missouri Troop G, and a 72-year-old man from Fulton, Missouri died in the Gasconade River on Friday after trying to retrieve a vessel on the boat ramp. Sunday's drowning now make 29 people who have died in Missouri waterways. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
First responders in the Metro East relied on mutual aid Sunday evening to get a total of 9 patients to hospitals after a crash in rural Belleville. It happened at the intersection of Route 15 and South 11th Street. Millstadt Ambulance Service reports one of the victims is a child and had to be taken to the pediatric care unit in St. Louis.
The Trump administration is cutting a Medicare drug subsidy program. How will this affect patients?
Dr. Ed Weisbart, a local physician and former chief medical officer at Express Scripts, says caps on Medicare Part D prescription drugs will not be changing. However, this subsidy is what made the insurance companies whole. And Weisbart says one way or another that will still happen, likely through increased premiums.
Without those subsidies, but with still having the $2,000 out-of-pocket maximum, still having the $35 insulin and the other improvements, with those improvements, but losing the subsidies, the premiums for people on Medicare Part D are going to go up significantly.
Miriam Roden is also a physician and a Medicare Part D patient. She says even with her income, the higher premiums will be felt.
My groceries went up, my gas went up. It would cut into how much I have left over for making the grandkids happy. It would cut into how much I can help the kids out with their house payments.
Weisbart says the subsidy was extended through the end of next year, and he cannot understand why the Trump administration is ending them now. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A scientific discovery with Southern Illinois University's name on it is drawing international attention. We get more from Rachel Pearson.
A newly identified microbe named SIUC1 is giving scientists some fresh insight into some of Earth's oldest and most extreme forms of life. Researchers at SIU Carbondale say the organism thrives in temperatures around 150 degrees Fahrenheit and survived deep underground without any sunlight or oxygen. Now, the discovery also led scientists to rethink a decades-old lab technique that's used to grow microbes, which could make it easier to study thousands of organisms that have been difficult to culture. Researchers say the work may also help shape future searches for life beyond Earth.
As a follow-up on a big win secured in Washington for Missouri, here's KMOX's Michael Calhoun.
Congressman Mark Alford is taking a victory lap after the Air Force selected Whiteman Air Force Base in west central Missouri as the sole candidate location for a new F-15E Strike Eagle mission. Alford tells MissouriNet he's proud of the role he played in helping to secure the project after years of uncertainty surrounding the future of the 442nd Fighter Wing.
And now, as the vice chair of the Military Construction Veterans Affairs Appropriations Subcommittee, and the only member of the Missouri delegation on the Appropriations Committee, I'm going to fight hard to make sure that we have the military construction out at Whiteman Air Force Base. This is not going to be cheap. We're going to have to build new hangars, but it's going to be worth it.
The Air Force current plan would bring 24 F-15Es to the base beginning in 2031, helping to maintain the 442nd Fighter Wing's role in national defense. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
A national babysitter program is being offered in St. Louis. The Safe Sitter program is a 6-hour-long babysitting class that teaches teens first aid, choking, rescue, CPR, and business skills.
Participating 12 to 16-year-olds also receive a certification and handbook after completing the class. Program instructor and St. Louis County reference librarian Anthony Martinez says the class can make a huge difference for teen babysitters who may be relatively inexperienced with watching younger children all by themselves.
Of course, it's also important because they're learning skills that may save a life. Safe Sitter, I believe, said since the 80s, since they started the program, there have been around 200 documented cases of a child's life being saved by a Safe Sitter.
The county library is offering one class a month through the end of the year, with the next one happening August 29th at the Cliff Cave branch in Oakville.
We're going to take a look at the roadways and the weather as well when we come back. It is 7:07, and this is Total Information AM.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this ad for your morning commute to wake you up, which could help your driving. Science says that stimulating the brain increases alertness. So here's a pop quiz. How many months have 28 days? What gets wetter as it dries? What has keys but can't open locks? If you don't want to hear the answers, turn off this Liberty Mutual ad now. 12 months, a towel, piano. Enjoy being fully alert.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Things in Washington, D.C. may seem unsettled at times by their lack of progress, but one department in the U.S. government is progressing. That is the IRS. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. The IRS is in full function to collect on unpaid taxes. If you've been putting off a tax problem, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and get it resolved. Don't think the government is too busy to focus on my issues. Too many of my clients thought the same. So if you owe back taxes or haven't filed returns in years, it's time to call the Lance Story Law Firm and finally resolve your tax issues. Remember, if you have tax problems, you have legal problems. Call the Lance Story Law Firm. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Or call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceStoryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm, the Lance Story Law Firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts.
Roger Brand, it's 7:10, and you're in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Tom, we're in that lull before we get to the peak rush hour that occurs usually around 7:40. So right now, the interstates don't look bad, at least on the Missouri side. You have a good run on 70 out west coming in from Warrenton, Wentzville. Southbound 61 and 64 and 70 from the split in Wentzville look great across the Missouri River bridges on the south side. 55 coming up from Festus through McNutt in the construction area, no delays. Even eastbound 30 and Tesson Ferry, not as much volume through Mauer and headed up through Schuessler. Coming in toward 270 at that point. The only delays on the Illinois side, and actually the westbound side looks a little tougher right now, but there's a brief delay eastbound 5570 passing 111, but on the westbound side it's actually a jam from Black Lane most of the way to 111. It's bumper to bumper westbound. And I also saw a little slowdown northbound 255 just north of 5570. Of course, they do road work between there and 270 in the right lane both directions as well, but not as much volume travels that stretch, so it's not as impactful. Next update at 7:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
KMOX AccuWeather, sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant today, the high 84, then clear tonight, low 68. Tomorrow mostly sunny, quite warm in the afternoon, high 89. Wednesday times of sun and clouds becoming rather hot and humid, high 92. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Right now, we've got sunshine and 66 degrees in downtown St. Louis.
It's 7:11. Sports coming up in 4 minutes. 3 people were injured, 1 critically, following a Saturday night shooting inside the Chicago Fish and Chicken restaurant in the 2900 block of Gravois. When St. Louis police arrived, they found a 26-year-old man critically injured and in unstable condition. That shooting victim was an innocent bystander making a purchase.
A 17-year-old shooting victim is in stable condition. A third person, a 20-year-old man, was dropped at the hospital with a severe laceration related to the shooting. A person was detained, whom police say was standing outside near the crime scene. Homicide detectives have taken over the investigation.
ICE took 1 person into custody following a chase in St. Charles Sunday morning. According to police, officers tried pulling a driver over on the Pundman Parkway overpass. Police say the vehicle pulled into the Sam's Club parking lot where 2 people got out and ran. Both were taken into custody. 1 was released for medical attention. Police are still looking for the driver.
Illinois Secretary of State Alexi Giannoulias is running for mayor of Chicago. The 50-year-old Giannoulias made that announcement on the Chicago South Side Sunday.
I believe fundamentally that government can be both competent and compassionate. That's exactly the kind of leadership that I'll bring to City Hall. Not government that makes excuses, government that delivers.
Also in the race, outgoing Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza, Congressman Mike Quigley, and a former alderman, among several others. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson hasn't yet formalized his intentions. Election day is February 23rd. A runoff election would take place April 6th if no candidate gets at least 50% of the vote.
It's 7:13. Sports coming up in just a couple of minutes on Total Information AM. Also in the schedule for this week, the 15th annual STL Fringe Fest kicks off today.
We are a multidisciplinary performing arts festival that has produced everything from opera to classics to musicals to plays to music and everything and beyond in our 15-year history.
That's Matthew Kearns, Fringe Fest's president and artistic director. Next week, there will be 45 different performances, all taking place in Grand Center. Single tickets and all access passes are available.
August 3rd through the 9th. August 1st was President Trump's deadline for federal agencies to develop a framework for conducting government assessments of AI tools before public release.
It follows the discovery of at least 2 systems going rogue to conduct their own cyber attacks. In one of them, OpenAI says some of its models went rogue, breaking onto the internet, then hacking into the systems of another company, AI startup Hugging Face. More from ABC News Chief Business and Technology Correspondent Rebecca Jarvis.
OpenAI called the incident an unprecedented cyber incident, adding they're conducting a thorough review along with external advisors and with oversight from the Safety and Security Committee. Also assuring no models planned for upcoming release were involved in exploiting Hugging Face.
Now, KMOX Sports from the St. Luke's Hospital Sports Desk. St. Luke's, St. Louis's #1 heart hospital.
Let's get to it. This is a big day in St. Louis sports. It is the Major League Baseball trade deadline coverage right here on KMOX all day long. We will start, of course, with updates this morning. You can hear them at the top of every hour. The Gas House Gang will be all over it today from 12 to 1. And then at 4 o'clock, we'll have a trade deadline special as we tick up until the 5 o'clock deadline. Dave Glover, Kevin Wheeler, Matt Pauley, and Bernie Miklasz will have that. Here are the deals that have happened so far since the big one over the weekend, Tarek Skubal going from the Tigers to the Dodgers. The Mets traded Freddie Peralta, one of their top starters, to the Rays for 3 prospects, as well as the Blue Jays trading Kevin Gausman to the Cubs. That starter goes to Toronto for a pair of prospects. And Tyler Mahle, the right-hander, went from the Giants to the Braves in exchange for right-hander Anthony Molina. The Yankees picked up a slugger, Luis Garcia Jr., from the Nationals for 4 prospects. The Cardinals, we'll see what they end up doing today. And a conversation with Chaim Bloom is coming up at 7:22. For now, let's take a listen to what happened to the game yesterday.
With Mike Claiborne, I'm John Rooney. And at Rogers Center in Toronto yesterday, Matthew Liberatore was protecting a 1-0 lead with a great start. 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, 85 pitches. But the Blue Jays tied the game against George Storiano with 2 outs in the 8th inning. The Cardinals came right back against their closer, Louis Varland, by turning a leadoff walk into a run. An error allowed another run to score, and Jordan Walker drove in 2 more, a 4-run 9th, and the Cardinals won 5-1.
We call that timely hitting. The Cardinals were able to come back yesterday with a big win, and that was something we hadn't seen all weekend, but yesterday was the day for them, and the error they took advantage of is also. So it was a good day all around.
The Cardinals are at Yankee Stadium tonight, and it'll be right-hander Michael McGreevy making the start. He's 4-9. We're on the air at 5:10. 5:55, Mike Claiborne will have the lineups. I'll bring you the first pitch around 6:05. A Redbird winner yesterday, 5-1 in Toronto.
Gentlemen, thank you. As for the Billikens, there's some interest in what's happening with the following among Billiken fans. A judge who granted the right to play another year of college sports to some athletes whose eligibility ran out last school year now has issued a new order to make clear that does not include football players who signed pro contracts this summer and then had a change of heart. That change comes after U.S. District Judge Charlotte Sweeney responded to an NCAA request for clarity about her ruling, granting a 5th year to athletes who were not included in the new rule that allows 5 seasons of eligibility for Division I players. Now, one of the players who would fall into that category is Robbie Avila, the Player of the Year in the Atlantic 10. In speaking to Josh Schertz yesterday, and you can hear the full interview at KMOX.com, he suggested that time will tell if Avila does return to college. He did suggest that Avila took a discount to come to St. Louis University a couple of years ago, millions of dollars, Schertz said, and he would not want to deny him an opportunity to make more money if he does return to college. He did say that he talks to Avila twice a week, and the two continue a conversation. Of course, Avila would be a natural fit in the Billiken offense, but this is a matter of much more than just that. It's 7:18. Chaim Bloom in 4 minutes.
Steve Ellman leads St. Charles County. Ellman has fought for smart growth and moratoriums on apartments and data centers. Ellman doubled our parks, increased our conservation land, and helped create 50,000 new jobs. Ellman has built hundreds of miles of new roads. Ellman prioritized law enforcement and put officers in schools, making our county safest in the region. And Steve Ellman eliminated the county's real and now personal property taxes. While Steve Ellman leads, Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel promised to cut your property taxes for 8 years, but never did. Instead, he didn't pay his own taxes. Eigel was rebuked by President Trump's lawyer for misleading and scamming donors to pay for his campaigns. Eigel said he's against data centers, but he never voted to regulate data center abuses, but did vote to give tax dollars to benefit the company behind the St. Charles data center.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve Ellman, Michael Summer Jr., treasurer.
Folks, here's something most people don't realize about estate planning. Documents alone aren't enough. And I've been working with the Lederman Law Firm for over 20 years now. And one of the things I really appreciate is I didn't just work with one person. I worked with a team. You can tell right away the Lederman Law Firm is a true team, from the lawyers to the paralegals to the legal assistants. Everyone knows our plan. Everyone is working towards the same goal, and you never feel like you're being handed off or forgotten. Their funding team, that's a major part of it. They help make sure our assets and our beneficiaries are actually lined up with our plan. Accounts, property, all of it working together the way it is supposed to. Folks, if your assets and beneficiaries don't match your plan, it doesn't matter how good the documents are. Your plan may not work the way you expected. The Lederman Law Firm walks you through that process, asset by asset. We trust them. I know you will as well. If you are in St. Louis and you want an estate plan that actually works, check out the Lederman Law Firm. Lederman, Laiderman, law.com, or call 314-514-9100. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision. It should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial # law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Your morning news and information. Total Information AM.
7:21 in time to check the roadways. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, there's still no worries on the interstates, really, for almost everybody, Debbie. Looking out west, 70 coming in from Warrenton, southbound 61, 64 coming out of St. Charles County. It's an easy run for you there, coming up from the south side. 55 coming up through the construction zone through McNutt, Highway Z. Everything's on the go, headed up toward 270 and ramping onto 270. And 270 itself still looks great from 55 up to Gravois, 44 Manchester up to 64. Eastbound 30 back to seeing a little more volume up the hill from Mauer to 270, but it's not a jam. Tesson Ferry doesn't look as bad as it did earlier. There was some slow traffic through Schuessler. And on the Illinois side, seeing a little more volume here. Westbound 64 now approaching 25th Street up to the 70 split. Again, that West 70 ramp is closed. Eastbound 5570, a couple of slowdowns between 203 and 111, but it's an actual jam on westbound 5570. Pretty solid from 255 pretty much the entire way to 111 currently. Next update at 7:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg says cloudy for a little bit, but mostly it's going to be sunny and pleasant today and a high of 84 degrees. Clear low 68 tonight. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, warm, high 89. It's 68 right now. Let's take a listen to Cardinals president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. I had a chance to visit with him exclusively yesterday, just hours before the trade deadline, about 30 hours before the deadline when we talked. It's at 5 o'clock Central Time today. Here's part of what we discussed. Cardinals president of baseball operations, Chaim Bloom. Hello, Chaim.
Good morning.
Morning. If we had missed this segment for some reason, you know that sends alarm bells throughout Cardinal Nation. They'd be like, "Oh boy, something's cooking." Chaim's unavailable.
Yeah, I did miss y'all's first call, but was able to organically wrapped the phone call I was on enough to make the second. So we're all right here.
So we are at that time, and we're a day from the deadline, a little over 24 hours, but the phones are busy, aren't they?
Yeah, things, this would happen, this is around the time before the trade deadline when things really pick up. For better or worse, as an industry, everybody seems to push most of the business into the last couple days, and that's where we're at. So that is definitely something that you could feel it. You could start to feel it a little bit later last night, and now you could feel it this morning. We're going to be working the phones pretty good between now and tomorrow evening.
Obviously, you all have done your homework on what tomorrow could be, but do you still maintain that anything could happen before the deadline? I mean, you told me a couple of weeks ago, you said, look, sometimes you get a phone call right before the deadline as something that came together that you never thought could happen.
Yeah, and since we talked about that, obviously some things have moved in certain directions. Obviously, the market is certainly starting to clarify itself. Obviously, the way we've played hasn't been up to the standard that we like to have here, but that's certainly something that you'd be silly not to factor into some degree, just in terms of what it shows about where we are and the gap between that and where we need to be. But yeah, I still, like we talked about it, sometimes those surprises that might come on deadline day, you don't know about them the day before. I think we have a pretty good idea of some of the things that are likelier, but you don't necessarily know how it's all going to play out even now, 30 or so hours out. I think the big thing for us is basically staying on track with everything that we've talked about, everything that you and I have talked about since the fall, where our goal here is to build something great and to build something that lasts. That can mean a lot of different things, but any move that we would contemplate between now and the buzzer tomorrow, we want it to fit within that. That is just pushing us forward towards getting back to where we want to be and being able to stay there. And that's really the yardstick against which we have to measure any possibility that might come our way.
Now, we did talk about in this interview a lot of different scenarios. We did not discuss specific players, but you pretty much know who they are at this point, folks. Dustin May, who the Cardinals acquired in the offseason on a one-year deal. He would be an attractive rental to a team trying to add a starting pitcher, and certainly with Tarik Skubal going to the Dodgers, that started the starting pitching market going quite a bit yesterday, with Kevin Gausman going from the Blue Jays to the Cubs, Tyler Mahle going from the Giants to the Braves, Freddie Peralta traded from the Mets to the Rays. So where will Dustin May go, and what could the Cardinals get for him? We shall see. Would the Cardinals be willing to trade some of their veteran relievers like Ryan Stanek and Riley O'Brien? For that matter, what does it look like in terms of position players? Lars Nootbaar has been mentioned in multiple reports. The Yankees are said to have interest in him. The Phillies have had interest in Nootbaar. Where would he go? And I did ask about the readiness of Joshua Baez. Certainly sounds like Baez is close. They're still working on a lot of things with him. By the way, they do like Quinn Matthews for this rotation based on what they saw from him on Saturday. Some of the other moves yesterday, the Yankees, who the Cardinals will play tonight, did acquire Luis Garcia Jr. last night for 4 prospects. The Washington Nationals trading their slugger to the Yankees. So there will be some deals today. You would imagine the Cardinals will be involved in multiple deals. We'll be following it very closely today. We'll have updates at the top of the hour. We will have the Gas House Gang doing a full hour on this from noon to 1. Greg Amsinger and Mike Claiborne will join Chris Ranji and me. At 4 o'clock today, Bernie Miklasz will be with the guys, Dave Glover, Kevin Wheeler, and Matt Pauley, for a 1-hour trade deadline special leading up to the deadline at 5 o'clock. And then we'll go to Cardinals pregame at 5:10 before the 6:05 first pitch at Yankee Stadium. It's 7:27. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Tim Gamma is a big baseball fan. I know he'll be listening in. Tim Gamma is an expert when it comes to your trees. Tim and Tom Gamma, just like their father Frank back in 1954 when he started, Gamma Tree Experts. Yes, you know the tagline, your trees deserve the best care. We all know that. Gamma Tree Experts is the best. Since 1954, they have been taking care of trees throughout the St. Louis area. All you have to do is go to gammatree.com to find the very latest in tree health, what you can do to take care of your trees in the meantime, and they will take care of the rest. They know your family loves that tree. They can help you preserve it. We're talking about professionals who customers like doing business with. And when it comes to tree health, also storms taking down trees, they can clean up all that damage for you. They're Gamma Tree experts. Gammatree.com. Your trees deserve the best care.
Registered lobbyist Mike Deering is not the kind of guy you want in the state Senate.
Did you say he was a registered lobbyist?
Sure did. When conservatives like Tricia Burns tried to pass a bill to take back the 300,000 acres in Missouri allowed to be controlled by China, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against it. When conservatives like Tricia Burns fought alongside Missouri cattlemen to require foreign beef to be labeled, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against that too. While conservatives like Tricia Burns are fighting to protect your farmland from being paved over by data centers, lobbyist Mike Deering described Google's Montgomery County hyperscale data center as a
very positive thing.
Deering also endorsed liberal Democrat Chris Koster for governor and openly mocked President Trump. Registered lobbyist Mike Deering, anti-Trump, pro-Democrat, bought out by foreign ag interest, and in love with data centers. Take down data center Deering on August 4th. Vote America First conservative warrior Tricia Burns for state senate.
Paid for by Mo Constitutional Conservative Council PAC, Scott Lady Treasurer.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports, and she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Summer air should feel fresh, not full of dust, allergens, and whatever winter left behind in your vents. Your air ducts are the lungs of your home, and if they're dirty, you're breathing it in every day. That's where Zero Res comes in, backed by thousands of Google reviews and a 4.9 rating. This month only, take 20% off air duct services and products. That's cleaner air, better efficiency, and a fresher home guaranteed. Call 314-474-2020 or visit ZeroResSTL.com and ask for the DGS.
7:31, and it is sunny in downtown St. Louis. It's 67 degrees. I'm Debbie Monterey.
And I'm Tom Ackerman. What's going on out there? Roger Brand, overhead door company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, so far it's been a pretty good morning, Tom. I mean, we're getting a little busier, but other than that, it's doing okay out there, just building volume as we go. So that means if you're on eastbound Highway 30, there's some more volume, Mauer to 270. Tesson Ferry at Schuessler doesn't look as bad. North 55, the right lanes look a little crowded around Madison Road. North 270 starting to slow down now. Approaching Doherty Ferry up to Manchester, that's about the worst of it there. If you're southbound on 61, the ramp to eastbound 70 just looks a little off the pace, but through traffic's fine, and through traffic on 64 just slow at 170. Now, on the Illinois side, there's a little busier runs going on here. Westbound 64, west of 111 up to the 70 splits heavy. Eastbound 64 jams, getting onto 5570 at Exchange where it's down to one lane. It's slow 203 to 111, and westbound 5570, that's stop and go from 255 most of the way to 111 currently. Next update is 740 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's going to be sunny to partly cloudy today and 84 degrees. Actually, this is the nicest day of the week, although it's not going to be too bad for the first week of August. Right now, it's 67 degrees with sunshine.
In the news this morning, Total Information AM on KMOX continues at 7:32. Another violent weekend in the Metro East. Illinois State Police assisting the Washington Park and East St. Louis Police Departments in two separate fatal shootings. The Belleville News-Democrat reports the St. Clair County coroner says 22-year-old Eric Swearingen Jr. was shot in the 1500 block of North 46th Street, and 29-year-old DeMonte Hunter was shot on North 24th Street.
And also in the news, President Trump threatening to move forward with a fund to compensate his allies if 2 Republican holdouts won't support his nominee for Attorney General. We get more from Terry Keshner, who spoke to an Illinois senator on the matter.
It's the pushback of the lame ducks.
Illinois Senator Dick Durbin speaks to the motive of Republican Senators John Cornyn and Tom Tillis, who are not supporting Todd Blanche's nomination for Attorney General.
I'm one of them, so I can say that. Those of us who are not running for re-election may view politics a little differently. Certainly some of my Republican friends who said little or nothing about the president, critical of his administration, have changed their tunes now that they are not running for re-election.
A vote on Blanche's nomination is now set for Tuesday after a scheduled Thursday vote was postponed. Terry Keshner, News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
This is KMOX at 7:34. Time check and the news, sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. Ditch the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
As a fitness coach, my active psoriatic arthritis can slow me down. With Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, I'm treating my skin and joint symptoms so I can keep moving. Skyrizi, a prescription-only injection for adults, helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And for those who have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible. With Skyrizi, there's no daily dosing. It's just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement. And that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZI to learn more.
It is now 7:35. Thanks for tuning in to Total Information AM. We're 5 minutes away from traffic and weather. Should be a really nice week, and so far so good on the roadways. Getting you the latest Money Minute right now. It's sponsored for you by Busey Bank.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Hyundai posted its best ever U.S. July sales, with deliveries rising 4% from a year ago. The automaker says strong demand for hybrids helped fuel the gains, with sales of those cars jumping 35% year over year. The compact Elantra sedan and Tucson SUV led the way as Hyundai's top-selling models. Checking on the market, signs of easing tensions between the U.S. and Iran is sending stock futures higher this morning. Iran suggesting that negotiations to get ships moving through the Strait of Hormuz are making progress. And artificial intelligence is making hiring faster, but not necessarily easier. Nearly 3/4 of HR professionals say they're seeing more candidates exaggerate or fabricate their qualifications, according to a survey from Equifax. Meantime, more than a third say AI-generated resumes and application materials have actually reduced their confidence in hiring decisions. However, 80% report that AI is improving hiring. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
This is the take care of my family goal. This is the enjoy the life I've built goal. This is the set up a foundation goal. This is Busey, where your goals become lasting legacies. Through bespoke plans that maximize your wealth, through partnerships that give you peace of mind. Because building wealth, tending to it, and passing it down secures a brighter future. Busey Bank, building business, growing wealth since 1868. Member FDIC.
There's a saying, it takes a group of good men to build a barn, and only one to tear it down. Well, a few Jeff City politicians are at it again, tearing things down with Amendment 5 and Amendment 4. No on 5 and 4. 5 takes our money with higher sales taxes, higher taxes on gas, guns, and groceries, a sales tax hike on rent and diesel, seed and feed. 4 takes away our constitutional right to vote and go around the establishment politicians and to stop higher taxes. Takes away our safety valve, a vote of the people to stop or reverse a dumb idea like the everything tax. I'm a no. A heck no. No. No on Amendment 5. No on Amendment 4. No on both 4 and 5. Paid for by no on the everything tax.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
And Doug.
Limu and I created a trick to help you remember that you can customize your car insurance and save with Liberty Mutual. You see, the shirts Limu and I wear are yellow, and yellow is the color of lemons. And lemons grow on trees, and trees provide oxygen, and oxygen helps us breathe, and breathing is how you live, and you can live more life when you save money by customizing your car insurance. I agree, Limu. It's really quite simple. Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty. Get inside your Redbirds in the 2026 season every Tuesday at noon. It's All Access with Cardinals manager Ollie Marmol on your voice of the Cardinals, KMOX.
Today's coverage, trade deadline. Gas House Gang from noon to 1. A trade deadline special at 4 with Bernie, Dave, Matt, and Kevin. We have it all until 5 o'clock today. Right now, Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, looking good on the area roadways, getting busy, but other than that, it's not bad. Just some volume here and there. So if you're on the run up northbound 55 from about 141 up to the Merrimack, it's a little slow. Northbound 270, north of 44 to Manchester, the busiest part. The right lanes look a little busy around Clayton Road, but it's not all that bad. Out west, we look great. Southbound 61 getting on to eastbound 64 70, both good runs coming out of St. Charles County. Eastbound 64 is just a little slow, approaching 170 through Hanley. It sorts itself out before you even get to Big Bend. Westbound 64. It's a little crowded at Bellevue. Really doesn't look that bad to me there. On the Illinois side, some traffic. Westbound 64 delays 111 up to the 70 split. Of course, that West 70 ramp is closed, but once you get past that point, 64 looks great across the Poplar. Eastbound 64, a little backup approaching 5570 because it's down to one lane if you're continuing on to 5570 there through Exchange, so it's jammed up there. And westbound 5570, you're on the brakes approaching 255 most of the way to 111. Next update is 750 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Honey, I found the one.
Oh, I thought I was the one.
Oh, you are, but this one's certified, background check, shows up on time, and can install all the ceiling fans.
Heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Trusted pros who do it right.
CherryCounty.com.
741. Let's check in with our AccuWeather meteorologist, Joe Lundberg. For the first week of August, Joe, this is a pretty mild forecast for us.
It really is. We've only got one day when we're actually talking about it being hot. That's Wednesday. Today, not at all. Sunshine, a few fair weather clouds, low humidity. Our high temperature will get to about 84. Then tonight, clear upper 60s. Mostly sunny tomorrow, much closer to normal at 89. A hot day on Wednesday, sun and clouds, our high 92. But as it gets a little cloudier for Thursday and Friday, there's a good chance for a thunderstorm or two, and that should keep temperatures in the mid to upper 80s each day. Right now, it's 69 at St. Peter's, 70 in Florissant, 73 with that sunshine downtown at the Arch. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Joe, thank you. It's 7:42. Sports coming up in 3 minutes. A fast-moving wildfire in Spokane County, Washington, has burned several thousand acres, destroyed numerous homes, and prompted hundreds of evacuations, according to local authorities on Sunday. Here's ABC's Allison Cossack.
Flames tearing through neighborhoods, forcing thousands to evacuate.
I'm so tired.
Eric Frank's house, now ashes.
I don't think I'm going to rebuild here because I don't ever want to have to relive a fire coming up this hill again.
Authorities calling it the worst natural disaster the region has ever seen. More than 7,000 acres burning. Firefighters racing in from California and as far away as Australia.
Officials scrambling to safeguard the nation's water supplies from what appears to be Iran's quiet escalation of the war. We get more from ABC's Aaron Katursky.
The hackers change passwords, leaving the utilities blind, or they disable alarms, allowing wastewater systems to enter unsafe conditions undetected. And this is exactly what intelligence officials feared would happen from the moment the U.S. began its buildup of forces in the Gulf. Now the FBI is urging utilities to disconnect from the internet or revert to manual controls if automated systems are compromised.
A political pioneer from Texas has died. House Speaker Mike Johnson confirming the passing of Kay Granger in a Sunday evening Facebook post, says ABC's Jim Ryan.
Kay Granger spent her life in politics, breaking down barriers.
That I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of mayor.
The first woman elected to lead Fort Worth, Texas, would later be courted by both parties to run for Congress under their banner. She picked the GOP and became the first Republican woman sent to the House from Texas. She retired last year after 28 years in Washington and died Sunday at 83. Jim Ryan, ABC News in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Canada's second largest airline, WestJet, has agreed to a tentative agreement with flight attendants to end a strike that led to hundreds of flight cancellations and thousands of stranded passengers. The union representing the flight attendants said today that if the deal is ratified, the agreement will provide for a duty period premium that recognizes more of the work cabin crew are required to perform and increases compensation for that work.
Now, KMOX Sports from the St. Luke's Hospital Sports Desk. St. Luke's, St. Louis's #1 heart hospital.
Trade deadline day in Major League Baseball. Latest deal to go down this morning would be Huascar Brazuban going from the New York Mets. That is the very latest deal that went down. The White Sox get him, right-handed reliever, so they get some bullpen help. The starters that moved yesterday, Tyler Mahle from the Giants to the Braves, Kevin Gausman from the Blue Jays to the Cubs, Freddie Peralta from the Mets to the Rays. This was after Tarek Skubal went from the Tigers to the Dodgers over the weekend. So as you can imagine, Chaim Bloom's phone is blowing up right now. He has pitchers that he can deal if he wants to. Dustin May, perhaps even Ryan Stanek, Riley O'Brien. Who knows how far down the road he could go. I asked him if there is interest, that if the Cardinals have anything of interest out there. Do they have needs that they have to meet, or are they keeping it open?
I don't know that that's an either or. I think it's a good question. Look, we're always, if you have too narrow a view on what you might want to take out of a particular trade deadline, you might miss some opportunities. There's a lot of different ways to build an organization, to build a team, to build a core. And, there are situations where something could come available where you might feel like, hey, this isn't a need. We're doubling down on a strength, but it's a really good player, and this guy fits us, and we want to bring him in-house. You can never have too much depth in any area. That said, I think you can look around the field, both at the big league level and even in the upper minors, and identify, look, these are places where we feel set, where we feel spoken for. These are places where it'd be really good to bring in someone who could complement this group and, be a real factor here going forward. And I would highlight those as needs. But again, I think you got to stay open-minded to wherever there are good players out there. Those types of guys don't often come available. If they're there, you want to see if you can snag them.
Cardinals are said to be drawing interest for Lars Nootbaar. Teams like the Mets, or the Yankees rather, and the Phillies are reported to have interest in the Cardinals outfielder. We'll see where it all goes today. A 5 o'clock Central deadline for the Major League Baseball trades. That will be finalized today, and we'll continue to follow it. Now, the deadline is 5 o'clock. What that means is teams must have their trade details finalized and submitted to the league office by that deadline. So after 5 o'clock, there will be trades that will be announced. That's the deadline in order for any acquired players to be eligible for the playoffs. After that, players on the 40-man rosters can't be traded, 5 o'clock Central Time today. So we have plenty of coverage today. We're going to have trade reports at the top of every hour. We have the Gas House Gang today at noon, a 1-hour show, as always, where we will be breaking down the trade deadline. We'll have a trade deadline special today at 4 o'clock during the Dave Glover Show. Dave will have Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler, and Bernie Miklasz for a full hour breaking down the deadline, trades as they happen, and then we'll have Cardinals pregame at 5:10 today, leading into the 6:05 first pitch at Yankee Stadium as the Cardinals take on the Yankees. Cardinals won yesterday. They beat the Blue Jays 5-1, captured a game in that series. The parlay of the day, sponsored by Circa Sports. Sports betting the way it should be. Let's take a look at the World Series odds, shall we? And see who the favorite is. I think you probably know by now. It's got to be the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are indeed the favorite at plus 140. That means you would have to bet $100 to win 140. Doesn't seem like a great deal to me. I know they're the big favorite, but somebody could knock them off. The Yankees are plus 625. I really like the Brewers at plus 800. I think the Brewers are still one of the best teams in baseball, the envy of a lot of teams, including the one here. The Braves at plus 1,200, Rays at plus 1,200, I don't see it. Cubs at plus 1,700, I don't see it. I do think the Phillies could have an aggressive day. We'll see. Plus 1,700 for them. So are the Red Sox at this point. Parlay of the day sponsored by Circa Sports. Sports betting the way it should be.
America is turning 250 this year, and Circa Sports is celebrating by offering all users in Missouri $250. For everyone in Missouri, all you have to do is deposit $250 on your Circa Sports app, then play through that deposit. Once you do, Circa Sports will reward you with $250 right in your account. This is available for everyone in Missouri, new and existing users. Celebrate 250 years and find out more at circasports.com today. Must be 21 or older and in Missouri. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
In a county full of slick politicians, one man never got the memo. Jake Zimmerman. He may not be cool, but as county assessor, Zimmerman delivered. Here's Jake.
I stopped casinos taking money from our schools and cracked down on wealthy developers dodging taxes.
The St. Louis American called his office a model of respectful competence, and the Post-Dispatch just endorsed Zimmerman in his campaign for county executive for his pledge to take the drama out of county government. As county executive, he'll make life more affordable and stand up to MAGA's attacks on our rights.
I'm not flashy, but I get results, and I've got your back.
Then there's Brian Williams. Williams voted with MAGA Republicans to open the door to extreme abortion bans, and now MAGA is bankrolling Williams with $150,000 in donations. Brian Williams and MAGA can't be trusted. Jake Zimmerman is on our side. Paid for by Citizens for Jake Zimmerman. Jeannie Kirkton, Treasurer.
St. Louis, are you ready to rock? AC/DC is bringing the Power Up Tour to the Dome at America's Center Tuesday, September 8th. Hear legendary hits like Back in Black, Thunderstruck, and Highway to Hell, performed live by one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Don't wait on tickets. They're still available at Ticketmaster.com. AC/DC, the Power Up Tour, Tuesday, September 8th. For more information, go to KMOX.com/events.
Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM KMOX. Now the news at 9, The Talk. The Chris and Amy Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
It is 7:52 and time for Roger Brand and the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, North 270 right now, Debbie, just sort of bogged down in a few spots from 44 up through Manchester. Not as bad once you get north of there. The right lane's a little busy around Clayton Road. Eastbound 64 McKnight through Hanley are pretty heavy. South 170 slows from the Parkway down to 64. Westbound 64 McCausland through Big Bend, a little volume there. Most of the volume's on the Illinois side right now. Eastbound 64 is jammed from 3rd Street onto 5570 due to the one-lane stretch there at Exchange. Westbound 5570, that's a solid jam from 255 almost the entire way to 111. Eastbound's just a little slow slow at 111 there. And westbound 64 stop-and-go pockets from 111 up to the 70 split west of there, though it's a good run across the Poplar. Next update is 7:58 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Easy forecast, Roger. Pleasant, high 84 today. Clear, low 68 tonight. Tomorrow, sunny and warm, a high of 89. 68 right now.
St. Louis County teens have 5 more chances to become a certified babysitter. 5 more chances this year. The St. Louis County Library is offering safe sitter programs once a month. Anthony Martinez is a reference librarian and the program instructor. He spoke with our Jade Aubrey and said he teaches young babysitters more than just life-saving techniques.
So Safe Sitter is a national nonprofit organization that developed a curriculum back in the 80s that other institutions around the country could adopt and teach in their communities. Over the years, it's become this full-fledged day-long program. It's about 6.5 hours long. We cover safety skills, childcare skills, first aid, choking rescue, of course, CPR, and then business skills at the end. So it really covers the whole gamut of the babysitting experience. And it culminates in a certificate of completion and a student handbook that the kids keep with them. It's about a 50-page handbook that covers all of the information, and then they can have that on the job with them. And the certificate is something that they can show to potential employers, to say, hey, I'm taking this super seriously. And the curriculum, was, again, created by Safe Sitter, but in collaboration with pediatricians and other experts. So it's really top-notch stuff.
And I heard you say earlier that besides CPR and other first aid skills, the kids also learn business skills. What kind of business skills are they learning that pertains to babysitting?
So we talk a lot about screening and all the steps that go along with that, just so that the kids are absolutely ready for each and every job, and all the subtleties that go along with that, right? Like including calling the potential employer back, don't text them, and then when you do meet them in person for the first time, like good old fashioned handshake and a smile, like stuff that I've noticed that the kids don't feel super comfortable with, which makes sense. They're younger, but also in 2026, I think these are just things that maybe we see slightly less. And so we literally practice that. I have them come up and shake my hand. And then, all the intricacies too of like when they visit the families, taking a tour of the house, making sure they know where the, exits are in case there's a fire, and taking notes. That's a huge thing. We really encourage them to write things down, which again is something that seems to be on the decline. Because there's just a lot of information to keep track of, and also just being considerate, putting themselves in the shoes of the parents, and not being late, because we understand that parents rarely do get to leave, and when they do hire a babysitter, it's probably because they're trying to go somewhere important, and just kind of stuff like that. I mean, things that maybe to us as adults feel pretty standard at this point, but to them, maybe they hadn't quite considered it.
The next Safe Sitter program is August 29th at Cliff Cave Branch in Oakville.
It's 7:56.
Hey guys, this is Kevin Wheeler, and I want to tell you about FanDuel Sportsbook, which, by the way, is the official sportsbook of KMOX. And today, specifically, I want to talk to baseball fans. And look, being here on KMOX, we got a lot of baseball fans listening, and you follow very closely. So if you think you know who might hit a home run today, then FanDuel is giving you a free chance to call your shot with Daily Dingers. Look, joining the action super easy. You just make your free pick on who you think's going to hit a home run in their game, and if you're right, you get a profit boost that you get to use on your next bet. You've got a lot to gain. Look, I play Daily Dingers every single day, and when I'm right, I put that profit boost to use, and it's been a big kick in the pants for me here during baseball season. So don't forget, you can do this every single day, which is what I do, and it's just another reason why FanDuel is the home for home runs. So if you're ready to play your game today, just join the action at FanDuel.com/Missouri. That's FanDuel.com/Missouri. You get to play Daily Dingers. You get to make your free pick on who you think is going to hit a home run every single day. So play ball and swing for the fences on FanDuel, an official partner of Major League Baseball.
At Uline, the prevailing opinion is, if you don't live it, you don't believe it. The people at Uline believe in hard work, and they live it by being there 24/7 to answer your call, having 41,000 items in stock, and offering same-day shipping from 12 locations across North America. Business owners, sellers, buyers, shippers, and packers believe it. Uline is the hardworking, dependable source for your shipping and industrial supplies. Visit uline.com.
Hey, it's Brew, and I feel like everything in my life depends on being connected. Whether I'm uploading a video, hopping on a call before my show, or video chatting with my family back in Michigan, I never have to think about my Wi-Fi. And that's why Xfinity stands out. You get the most reliable, fiber-powered Wi-Fi with the best equipment at one price for 5 years guaranteed. No contracts or commitments. Plus, you can get online in minutes with same-day Wi-Fi. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. Use of fiber or coaxial cable. Learn more at xfinity.com/same-day Wi-Fi. Xfinity, imagine that.
Congress doesn't need more politicians. For nearly 30 years, Joan Von Dross dedicated her life to helping students learn, grow, and succeed. Now she's running for Congress to fight for lower healthcare costs, stronger public schools, and a more affordable future for Missouri families. Teachers solve problems. Politicians play politics.
I'm Joan Von Dross, Democrat from Missouri CD2, and I approve this message. Vote for me on August 4th.
Paid for by Von Dross for Congress.
7:58. Here's Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, Debbie, we got backed up traffic on the Illinois side. Eastbound 64, a little back up, approaching 5570 just east of 3rd Street. It's down to one lane there through Exchange utility work going on. Westbound 64, 111 to the 70 split. You have stop-and-go pockets. And westbound 255, a solid, or 5570 rather, a solid jam. Westbound 255 to 111. Next update at 8:10 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Hey, we got a nice one out there, Roger. It's sunny. It's 68 degrees downtown at the Arch. I'm Tom Ackerman. Here's what's coming up with Megan Lynch in Total Information AM. A new report suggests restaurants are leaving a lot of money on the table if they aren't allergy friendly. Megan has more after the news.
Illinois has logged more tornadoes than any other state so far this year. AccuWeather's Heather Zare will tell us why.
And with more severe weather this year, you may be considering a generator for your home. Michael Calhoun has some do's and don'ts.
Our reliance on the digital world creating a need for new terminology, fubbing, synthetic consensus, the spiral of science. KMOX media expert Julie Smith will have more coming up after the news.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
ABC News, I'm Sherry Preston. Hundreds of buildings and homes destroyed in Washington state by wildfires in Spokane. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
This is actually 3 separate fires now being run as one because they're all right here around Spokane. So they're being called a complex, which is they are 3 individual fires not connected, but now they're just being fought as one fire because they are so close.
Oil prices have fallen this morning after President Trump announced he's pausing more attacks on Iran. He also says there will be negotiations with Iran today. Iran says that is not happening. New orders overnight from Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche could help lock up his nomination to get the job permanently. One ends the so-called anti-weaponization fund. The other limits the Trump family's immunity from IRS audits. And just in, Canada's second largest airline, WestJet, now says it has a tentative agreement with striking flight attendants. It was forced to cancel hundreds of flights over the weekend. This is ABC News. College campuses will soon be filling up with students, and sorority houses will also soon be filling up with Rush candidates. ABC's Hannah Patah says Rush, including Rush Talk, has become big business on social media.
Sophia Sesto, a vice president at Poppy, says finding the right Rush Talk faces to promote their product can translate into millions of dollars of exposure.
We actually onboarded 250 new Poppy ambassadors that will be sampling Poppy on campus, creating epic digital content.
Many of those applicants hoping to become the next Kylan Darnell.
Today is the first day of Bama Rush.
Darnell was a freshman at Alabama in 2022 when she became synonymous with the first wave of Bama Rush. She was able to turn brand partnerships into a lucrative career as an influencer.
The high price of beef is changing cookouts this summer. Sam's Club says chicken was the top choice for grilling for the 4th of July in 19 states, and pork was number 1 in another 15 states. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
At 8:02, we have sunny skies, 68 degrees, Today is Monday, August 3rd. I'm Megan Lynch. Missouri Secretary of State predicting a 32% voter turnout tomorrow for the primary elections. Denny Hoskins anticipates 1.4 million ballots will be cast. That would be the highest Missouri primary turnout since 2004. The polls will be open from 6 Tuesday morning until 7 Tuesday night. Drownings up 80% in Missouri compared to last year. This weekend proved to be another deadly one on the state's waterways. The most recent victim, a man whose body was recovered from the Merrimack River more than an hour after he fell in.
Sunday afternoon in Merrimack State Park around 4 o'clock, the latest victim never resurfaced from the boat ramp. 2 other people, a 25-year-old from Parkville, Missouri, drowned in Table Rock Lake Saturday. And on Friday, a 72-year-old man from Fulton, Missouri, died in the Gasconade River when he tried to retrieve a vessel on the boat ramp. Sunday's drowning now brings the number of people who have lost their lives on Missouri waterways to 29. Missouri State Troopers have important reminders if you intend to get in the water. Be aware of hazards such as the current, waves, rocks, vegetation, and drop-offs. Always swim with at least one other person. Never leave children unattended on or near the water. The safest way to assist a person drowning is by extending an object or throwing a flotation device. Maria Aquina, KMOX News.
Ferguson police and the St. Louis County prosecutor will hold a news conference today announcing an arrest has been made for the June 30th shooting death of Shaquilla Martin. Ferguson Police Chief Troy Doyle says the 35-year-old was gunned down in front of her children while buying them some drinks at a convenience store. Last week, we told you Senator Eric Schmidt touted a big defense win for Missouri. This morning, Michael Calhoun has details.
Whiteman Air Force Base in west central Missouri is one step closer to securing a replacement mission for the 442nd Fighter Wing as the Air Force phases out the A-10 aircraft. The Air Force identifying Whiteman as the sole candidate location for a new F-15E Strike Eagle mission. Missouri Congressman Mark Alford tells MissouriNet it took years of work to get to this point.
We've been working on this for 3.5, 4 years. I think we finally got through, and this week the Air Force notified me that they are going to bring the F-15Es to Whiteman Air Force Base, 24 of them eventually.
Alfred says the decision helps to secure the future of the 442nd Fighter Wing, preserving jobs and a fighter mission at Whiteman. If approved as planned, those 24 F-15E Strike Eagles would begin arriving at the base by 2031. Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
New cuts to Medicare Part D will hurt those enrolled, according to the former chief medical officer at Express Scripts.
Dr. Ed Weisbart says the subsidies were created to keep premiums down while enabling caps on drug spending. Weisbart says by making drugs more affordable, this made the program far better for patients, adding he can't understand why the Trump administration decided to cut the subsidy a year and a half early.
Those subsidies were planned to continue protecting people up until the end of 2027, but for whatever reason, which is beyond my pay grade, the federal government decided to intervene now and end those subsidies much more quickly.
Miriam Roden is a physician on a fixed income and is also enrolled in Part D. She says although she isn't poor, the expected premium hike will be felt in her budget, and especially for those less fortunate.
To me, it's just an additional expense because I'm on a fixed income.
And then obviously it might be harder for someone who isn't as well off.
Such as my kids.
Weisbart says he expects many enrolled in Part D to switch to Medicare Advantage, which is a far more difficult health care to navigate. Sean Malone, KMOX News.
A scientific discovery with Southern Illinois University's name on it is drawing international attention. Rachel Pearson has the latest from our sister station, WBBM.
A newly identified microbe named SIUC1 is giving scientists some fresh insight into some of Earth's oldest and most extreme forms of life. Researchers at SIU Carbondale say the organism thrives in temperatures around 150 degrees Fahrenheit and survived deep underground without any sunlight or oxygen. Now, the discovery also led scientists to rethink a decades-old lab technique that's used to grow microbes, which could make it easier to study thousands of organisms that have been difficult to culture. Researchers say the work may also help shape future searches for life beyond Earth.
Could veterans be offered GLP-1 weight loss drugs like Ozempic and Wegovy to help get their alcohol addiction under control? The VA has just begun a new clinical trial to find out.
Previous studies have shown that GLP-1 drugs have helped people with substance abuse disorders.
Fox News senior medical analyst Dr. Mark Siegel is confident of the results of this new VA study.
There's no question, and I want to tell you I already know the answer to this, because Zaid Al-Ali out in St. Louis, who I've interviewed multiple times, did 600,000 people studied, a huge VA study already, and showed a marked decrease in substance abuse, including alcohol, when the patients were taking the GLP-1s.
This study will enroll more than 600 veterans at 18 VA medical centers across the nation, but not here in the St. Louis area. Currently, more than 400,000 veterans have been diagnosed with alcohol use disorder. Fred Bottomer, KMOX News.
Still ahead on Total Information AM, a new report suggests that restaurants that don't cater to food allergies are leaving a lot of money on the table. We'll tell you more about that, plus traffic and weather in 2 minutes here on KMOX. It's 8:08.
Steve Ellman leads St. Charles County. Ellman has fought for smart growth and moratoriums on apartments and data centers. Ellman doubled our parks, increased our conservation land, and helped create 50,000 new jobs. Ellman has built hundreds of miles of new roads. Ellman prioritized law enforcement and put officers in schools, making our county safest in the region. And Steve Ellman eliminated the county's real and now personal property taxes. While Steve Ellman leads, Bill Eigel misleads. Eigel promised to cut your property taxes for 8 years, but never did. Instead, he didn't pay his own taxes. Eigel was rebuked by President Trump's lawyer for misleading and scamming donors to pay for his campaigns. Eigel said he's against data centers, but he never voted to regulate data center abuses, but did vote to give tax dollars to benefit the company behind the St. Charles data center.
Paid for by the committee to elect Steve Ellman, Michael Summer Jr., Treasurer.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car and home insurance. And now we're customizing this ad for your morning commute to wake you up, which could help your driving. Science says that stimulating the brain increases alertness. So here's a pop quiz. How many months have 28 days? What gets wetter as it dries? What has keys but can't open locks? If you don't want to hear the answers, turn off this Liberty Mutual ad now. 12 months, a towel, piano. Enjoy being fully alert.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You've still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight illnesses like pneumococcal pneumonia and RSV. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and can help protect you from getting really sick. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. See more at PfizerForAll.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
This hour of Total Information AM is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Now the news at 1 the fun. It's the Dave Glover Show on 104.1 FM KMOX.
8:10, time to check the roads with Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, the busiest stretches still seem to be on the Illinois side, Megan. Westbound 64 is a little better, but still delays from 25th Street up to the 70 split. Of course, that 70 west ramp is closed from 64, but 64 west of there is fine across the Poplar. Eastbound 64 a little heavy, 3rd Street onto 5570 due to the restrictions due to road work there through Exchange. And westbound 5570 is a solid jam from 255 most of the way to 111. Eastbound there is just slow passing 111, so it's not as bad on the eastbound run. On the Missouri side, North 270 approaching Doherty Ferry up through Manchester. Clayton Road's kind of slow. South 170 still has a backup pretty close to the Parkway. Eastbound 64 just kind of slow past the Interbelt, but the rest of the interstates continue to look pretty good so far this Monday morning. Next update at 8:20 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sunshine mixed with a few clouds at times today and quite pleasant this afternoon. High 84. Then tonight will be clear, low 68. Mostly sunny tomorrow, a bit warmer for the afternoon, high 89. For Wednesday, a mix of sun and clouds, rather hot and humid, the high 92. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Joe Lundberg on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Sunny skies now, 68 degrees downtown at the Arch. This is Total Information AM here on KMOX. I'm Megan Lynch, and this next topic is pretty close to me. Restaurants that fail to give clear information about food allergens could be leaving a lot of money on the table. Roughly 33 million Americans have at least one food allergy, and I happen to have 2 kids with food allergies. There's new research that estimates restaurants are losing $12.6 billion by failing to cater to these diners. Joining me now, Stephen Nolan, CEO of Nutritics, a company that provides a platform for menu, recipe, nutrition, allergens, and compliance data for restaurants. Stephen, thanks so much for joining me.
Hi, Megan. Great to come on.
When we look at that $12.6 billion figure, where do you get that figure from?
Yeah, so what we have done is we have done quite a detailed survey of allergy-affected diners, really across the US, to understand their behaviour and how exactly the importance of allergen information impacts their dining choices and decisions. And what we found actually is that, and perhaps there's no surprise, is that about 95% of allergy-affected diners have decided to not go to a restaurant on the basis of lack of information being available. And what that does is, that obviously translates into missed covers from a restaurant perspective, and it really percolates beyond just the allergy affected diner, but also actually to their family and friends as well alongside that. And what we've done just with a little bit of analysis, we said, well, actually, we have a quite a significant group of allergy affected diners that are choosing not to go to a restaurant, and kind of accompanied by that. And actually, when we translate that and run the numbers, this is actually a multi-billion-dollar challenge for the American restaurant industry that is quite easily addressable as well on the other side.
So what did people with food allergies tell you about their experience trying to find a safe place to eat?
Yeah, look, they said that it was really a challenge. This is really important information for allergy affected diners, and there's a number of things, I suppose, that kind of come into their decision making process. Like, for example, just over 7 out of 10 diners said that they'd actually eat at a restaurant more often if they had the allergen information there and available. So it's a really important trust signal for them as diners, that they can see that information and they can accurately and reliably rely on it as well. And as I mentioned earlier, there's 6 out of 10 American consumers as well have said that actually someone else's allergen impacts the choices they have to make around where they go to eat. So whilst it may, as I'm sure it might not be you that has the allergen, you're clearly not going to go somewhere that could put them at risk. So it does affect quite the dynamics of the family eating environment and so on. And ultimately, if you kind of translate that goes directly to the restaurant's bottom line.
I have to think that this is a huge challenge for restaurants. I mean, frankly, for anyone, it's a huge challenge in your own home and your grocery shopping. So when it comes to providing complete information, what are some of those hurdles for restaurants?
Yeah, and I think it's very important to note as well that there's no restaurant in the country that doesn't want to do the right thing here, and everyone is really keen to support their diners and guests as best they possibly can. But there is a range of challenges, I suppose, in kind of providing that information. The restaurants would have to source that information from the supply chain, and in some cases that information can be limited or perhaps in a different language, or there's a range of different challenges around how that information they may rely on. And for example, some might have it in spreadsheets, and whilst that's useful at a particular point in time, information can change. Restaurants as well don't have a single point where they communicate allergens to customers. They have multiple different points across delivery channels, across websites, on the actual physical menu when you walk in the door. So there's really a number of areas that they kind of have to make sure are all consistently right and accurate and up to date. And then there's specials that might be added to the menu and so on as well. So it's not an easy task for a restaurant to kind of consistently stay on top of this. But what we are seeing actually is we are seeing certainly a much greater appetite amongst the restaurant sector to certainly kind of improve this area. And this is really, on the back of the I suppose the customer demand that we've seen, and also actually regulation that is starting to be introduced. So over in Europe, we would have seen quite a well-established regulatory framework now, where you walk into pretty much any restaurant in Europe, give or take. The regulations vary slightly in each country, but at a basic level, any restaurant in Europe, and you can have that allergen information available to you in written format on the menu. And we're now actually seeing it come in California as well with the ADDI Act, which was introduced on the 1st of July this year, which requires restaurants to disclose the allergen information in written format and in digital format on their menus. So it is a challenge for restaurants, but it's certainly moving in a way where that information is going to become more and more available.
The people you surveyed, when do they make a decision about where they're going to eat? Are they searching online before, or do they wait until they go into that restaurant?
Yeah, this is actually a super interesting observation, because if you think kind of traditionally 10 or 15 years ago, where you might have walked down the high street and browsed the various menus and kind of made your decision maybe closer to the point of the restaurant, or you had a look at the food on the table, that is really changing. And what we're seeing actually is that the diners are actually reviewing menu options before they even leave the house. So now that decision that was happening on the side of the street or outside the restaurant is now actually happening on the phone in at home. So that just again adds another dynamic for restaurant operators in terms of accessibility of information through their websites and through their communication channels, be it on social media, be it on their own website, be it through delivery apps and so on. So it really is changing, and now the phone screen is where these decisions are being made before anyone even leaves the couch.
On the flip side of this, if a restaurant is really on top of this and communicates well, and diners find out that they can really trust the experience there, what kind of word of mouth did people say, these restaurants can earn by doing that?
Yeah, no, it is a significant opportunity, and certainly we would have seen in Europe, for example, particular restaurant groups that will be kind of identified as particularly strong in terms of the processes that they operate, and really, I suppose the kind of the signals that the consumers can see in terms of those processes and how you can, I suppose, trust a restaurant, for want of a better description. Where you can see the allergen information at a dish level. In some restaurants they may have kind of a general statement that our kitchen handles nuts, but for example, if they're able to break that down granularly by dish, that's a great signal. And if you can see the allergen information across all of the different channels, again, so delivery, website, etc., that's another great signal, because you can see that the restaurant operator has thought about the various ways they communicate with the customer. Clearly engagement with the team itself on the ground, and how they communicate both the processes and in terms of how they manage allergies on site is really important. And then the final signal that consumers should certainly look out for is just how the allergen information changes over time on a menu. And I suppose in particular with seasonal specials, if they're accompanied by allergen information, they clearly, it's clearly a kind of a live process, because in any restaurant, there's substitutions that come in the back door every day. Something mightn't be available, so things have to change and move. And, staying on top of that from an allergen perspective is a really great signal that you can trust. You can trust the menu, and you can tell your friends that you can trust the restaurant.
That is Stephen Nolan, CEO of Nutritics. Let's get the latest on the roads for you. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, it's not bad on the highways, Megan. This traffic reports the service of I-3 Broadband. Just some slowdowns right now. Northbound 270, a little slow through Doherty Ferry and north of Manchester up to Clayton Road. Eastbound 64 just sort of bogs down right through the inner belt briefly. If you're on the Illinois side, that's where we still have more delays, but it's still not that bad. Westbound 64 from about 37th Street to the 70 split is slow. Eastbound 64 back up 3rd Street onto 5570 through Exchange. And to westbound 5570 on the brakes. 255 to Black Lane in both directions are slow on 5570 right through the 111 area as well. Summer celebrations are here, and i3 Broadband keeps you connected. Head over to i3broadband.com/radio today or call 1-866-806-5485 to upgrade today. Because life runs better on fiber, and i3 Broadband is here for you. Next update at 8:30 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Sunny to partly cloudy and pleasant today, a high of 84. Clear skies tonight with an overnight low of 68. And then tomorrow, mostly sunny, warm in the afternoon, a high of 89. Right now, we have 70 in Florissant, 68 degrees in St. Peters, and 68 degrees as well downtown at the Arch.
Bill, you're an old politician.
Yup, sure am.
So you know the old timers warned that someone trying to sell you a pig in a poke was a con man.
Well, sure.
Well, no offense, Tom, but your Politicians Amendment 5 is a pig in a poke, allowing politicians to raise our taxes without a vote of the people. And the Politicians Amendment 4 takes away our power to do anything about it. Well, let's look at what's really inside Ford 5.
Oh, don't do that.
5 hits hardest seniors and those struggling financially with new taxes on services like doctor visits, in-home care, and rent. Sales taxes could more than triple. For up to 80% of Missourians, it's a tax hike. And Amendment 4 ends majority rule, effectively ending our power to stop corrupt and out-of-control politicians.
Slick plan, huh?
No, Tom. 4 and 5 are schemes that hurt citizens and transfer our power and our money to politicians and lobbyists. That's why I'm voting no on the Politicians Amendments 4 and 5, paid for by Missourians for fair government.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for buying gas. That's right. You can earn cash back with Upside just for buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside, and just last year, I made nearly $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get cash back? If you like extra cash, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back when you fill your tank. Use promo code FRESH to get an extra 35 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code FRESH for a 35 cents per gallon bonus.
Hair Volume from New Nordic will make your hair look thick and healthy. Available as a tablet or delicious gummy. Hair Volume is available online at Amazon and NewNordicUSA.com or in the hair care aisle at your local CVS.
Well, as we continue on KMOX, Michael Calhoun with you. And storm season, when people think about adding a home generator or perhaps just putting a battery backup on the basement freezer, also more people are putting up solar panels on their homes. You can drive around and see that for yourself. But when you hook something like that up to the electric system, there are risks to keep in mind. Joining us now on KMOX is Kevin Young, the manager of electric training and a former lineman for Ameren, Illinois. Thank you so much for being with us, Kevin.
Thanks for having me.
Well, first of all, tell us why now is the time that Ameren is having this conversation.
Well, more customers are installing backup generators and rooftop solar systems and battery storage technologies. So it's important that we try to educate the customers to the fact that these items need to be hooked up correctly or else it can cause some potential hazards for themselves, the public, and for our line personnel.
Yeah, one of the dangers with this is something called backfeed. Can you explain to us what that is?
Sure. Backfeed occurs when electricity from a customer-owned energy source, like a generator or a solar system with battery storage, flows back onto our electrical equipment or our power lines. And this can create dangerous situations if workers believe those facilities are not energized. But of course, our Ameren crews are trained extensively to test equipment and verify conditions before beginning work.
What is the danger if there is backfeed or some other issue with one of these, generators on the customer side? What is the danger to Ameren line workers? What could happen?
Well, we are trained to operate our switching, and that's what we're used to. So if you're energizing these lines, a line that looks perfectly de-energized can be energized at the same time. So we train extensively on that. Again, we test and things of that nature so we're not caught off guard. But it does add an extra layer of concern because there's more and more of these systems that are being brought to bear.
What if there's a line down? Certainly Ameren tries to de-energize those, but now we're talking about energy potentially coming from the other direction, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, if we're in a storm situation and say a service line is down or even a primary wire is down, if a customer is backfeeding that onto our line, that line is energized and a hazard. and there's risk there of a customer or somebody from the public, as well as the homeowner themselves getting into that. So that is definitely a hazardous situation.
So if a customer is adding, maybe a generator, maybe they just are looking at an appliance or the home office and they'd like to put a battery in, for instance, or solar panels, what is the correct way to do this? Can the customer do it themselves? Do they need to call a professional, or is there just, some guideline they need to keep in mind?
Our advice would be to call a certified electrician and have them come in. It's just that significant. You need to have a bona fide transfer switch and things of that nature, and just make sure that that's installed correctly for their protection, again, for our employees' protection and for the public as well.
And I'd imagine that when Ameren is trying to recover from an outage, what people have at their homes or their businesses, different configurations of equipment, that means that I'm sure no two situations are exactly alike.
That's exactly right. It doesn't change the tenor, though, by which we operate our policies and procedures. We always look, no matter the circumstance, to make sure that it's a safe working condition for us before we proceed. So it just brings right to the forefront to make sure that we are following and committed to consistent compliance before we do our work.
Kevin Young is a former lineman for Ameren, Illinois. Right now, he's the manager of electric training at Ameren, and he's been helping us get caught up on all of these safety tips here on KMOX. Thank you so much for being with us this morning, Kevin.
I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
And coming up, we're going to talk about the number of tornadoes that have hit Illinois this year. It's recorded 220 through July, the most of any state this year. Heather Zayer, AccuWeather meteorologist, will join us coming up next. It's now 8:28, and this time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Registered lobbyist Mike Deering is not the kind of guy you want in the state Senate.
Did you say he was a registered lobbyist?
Sure did. When conservatives like Tricia Burns tried to pass a bill to take back the 300,000 acres in Missouri allowed to be controlled by China, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against it. When conservatives like Tricia Burns fought alongside Missouri cattlemen to require foreign beef to be labeled, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against that too. While conservatives like Tricia Burns are fighting to protect your farmland from being paved over by data centers, lobbyist Mike Deering described Google's Montgomery County hyperscale data center as a
very positive thing.
Deering also endorsed liberal Democrat Chris Koster for governor and openly mocked President Trump. Registered lobbyist Mike Deering, anti-Trump, pro-Democrat, bought out by foreign ag interest, and in love with data centers. Take down data center Deering on August 4th. Vote America First conservative warrior Tricia Burns for state senate.
Paid for by Mo Constitutional Conservative Council PAC, Scott Lady Treasurer.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer at a beverage manufacturing plant, he starts his day knowing every line is ready to run because Grainger delivers the industrial-grade products he needs to keep mixers, conveyors, and packaging equipment moving. With Grainger's vast selection of bearings, belts, and motors, he keeps operations running smoothly, so nothing grinds to a halt. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
What do parents think of back to school at Staples, where 24-pack Crayola crayons are just 50 cents?
Staples has folders, notebooks, and pens at great prices.
I'm smiling from ear to ear.
It's the most wonderful time.
Mom, I missed the bus of the year.
It's a wonderful time at Staples, where school supplies start at just 25 cents. Staples.
That was easy.
Visit your local Staples today or shop online and in the app. Ends 9/12. Exclusions apply.
There's a saying, it takes a group of good men to build a barn, and only one to tear it down. Well, a few Jeff City politicians are at it again, tearing things down with Amendment 5 and Amendment 4. No on 5 and 4. 5 takes our money with higher sales taxes, higher taxes on gas, guns, and groceries, a sales tax hike on rent and diesel, seed and feed. 4 takes away our constitutional right to vote and go around the establishment politicians and to stop higher taxes. Takes away our safety valve, a vote of the people to stop or reverse a dumb idea like the everything tax. I'm a no. A heck no. No. No on Amendment 5. No on Amendment 4. No on both 4 and 5. Paid for by No on the everything tax.
Let's get a check of the roads now with Roger Brand. He's in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Well, we just got a few slowdowns on the Missouri side right now, Megan. This traffic report's a service of Financial and Tax Strategies. Northbound 55 through 141 headed to Merrimack Bottom, or the Merrimack River, rather. Looks a little busy in that work area. North 270, north of Manchester up toward Clayton Road's kind of busy. The ramp from South 170 onto eastbound 64 is a little backed up. And then on the Illinois side, westbound 64, from about 25th Street or approaching 25th Street to 3rd Street, you've got delays. Eastbound 64 jams getting onto 5570 due to road work. And eastbound 5570 now, we're backed up east of 203 through 111, but the westbound side now has thinned out in that area. Next update at 8:40 from the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
If your retirement plan is mostly what if and a little fingers crossed, you deserve better answers than that. Check out Wealth and Wisdom Saturdays at 7 a.m. here on KMOX. I'm Gary Goldberg. Call 800-966-1690.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Desk, it looks like we're going to have sunny to partly cloudy skies today. Pleasant, a high of 84. Clear tonight with a low of 68. Right now we have sunny skies, 68 degrees downtown at the Arch. Preliminary counts show Illinois has recorded 220 tornadoes through July 29th, the most of any state this year. AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zare joins me now to talk more about it. Good morning, Heather.
Hey, good morning. How are you today?
Doing well. Curious about what has triggered so many tornadoes in Illinois this year.
Well, it seems like looking back to the beginning of the year that we had a couple of things that kind of combined to be able to do this. Now, part of it seems to have actually been the drought and the heat that has been so common in the Southwest this year. One thing that kind of did through the spring months that usually puts the focus of severe weather on the more typical Tornado Alley, Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, that area, that kind of spilled over into those states. And when you have that kind of warm air in place, it really kind of prevents a lot of severe weather from occurring. And so that kind of shifted the storm track a little bit further north than usual. Unfortunately for Illinois, that did mean that the severe weather was much more common across Iowa, Missouri, especially Illinois, but also Wisconsin and Indiana. So that kind of took the brunt of it this year.
Could we continue to see extreme weather through the rest of the summer and, push those numbers in Illinois up even higher?
Well, that is still a possibility. Looking back to what our long-range experts were predicting back at the beginning of the season for severe weather, they were kind of focused on the idea that the worst of the severe weather season for Illinois, as well as most of Missouri, including here in St. Louis, that it would be between June and July. And so far, what we've been seeing, even through the month of July compared to what we had in June, was a big drop-off in severe weather, and we kind of expect that to continue through August. Okay. So the good news does look like it's probably past the peak. There probably will still be occasional storms, but not to that level that we saw in the spring.
All right, much better news. Heather, thank you so much for your time this morning.
You're welcome.
That is AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zare joining us this morning here on KMOX.
Let me tell you something about insurance. When you sign your insurance policy, for some brokers, that's the finish line. Handshake, commission, done. Then you may not hear from them again until it's time for renewal. But your business runs all year, so do the gaps and the risk. So go to Supersure.com. If your company has more than 25 employees, whether you're the owner, CFO, or HR manager, it can be too complex to just go buy a policy online. Supersure is the super agency built for you, licensed in every state for your business insurance and employee benefits, all with year-round support for you and your team. At Supersure.com, you can access tools like fine print facts. It'll translate your current policy into plain English so you see what's covered and what's not. Plus a business value calculator so you can estimate what your business is worth so you know what actually needs protecting. Go to Supersure.com. One super agency, one powerful platform, all your policies in one place. Supersure.com. That's Supersure.com. Paid for by Supersure Insurance Agency, LLC, a licensed insurance agency.
Your Money Report now. It's sponsored by Eamon Gatner and Capriano Elder Law Attorneys. Here's Bloomberg's Courtney Donahoe.
Gas prices are rising again, and this time Americans have less of a cushion.
Earlier in the year, tax refunds helped many people absorb the hit from the higher cost at the pump. But with those checks mostly spent, drivers are now feeling the squeeze from gasoline prices back above $4 a gallon nationally. That could put pressure on consumer spending, which has been a key driver of the economy. And the plant-based milk craze seems to be cooling off. Sales of dairy-free milks have fallen by more than 5% each year for 3 straight years, according to data from market researcher Circana. Almond milk has been among the hardest hit, but even oat milk, which has long reigned as the coolest milk on the block, has seen momentum slow. The shift away from plant-based milks has been driven by consumers looking for simpler diets with fewer ingredients. Courtney Donahoe, Bloomberg Radio.
The radical left let crime and drugs pour into our nation, and they let biological men into girls' sports. But here in Missouri, if there's a problem, we fix it. That's why Ann Wagner's fixing the mess the radical left made and delivering for us. Wagner voted to ban biological men from competing in girls' sports, and she voted to fund the police and provide more resources for Border Patrol agents, keeping our families, communities, and children safe. And Ann Wagner didn't stop there. In Congress, Wagner passed the largest working-class tax cut in American history, kept big government out of our business, protected our way of life, and ensured our communities remain safe. That's why Ann Wagner's endorsed by the Missouri Farm Bureau and Missouri Fraternal Order of Police. Vote Ann Wagner for Congress on August 4th.
I'm Ann Wagner, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Ann Wagner for Congress.
Can you believe politicians nearly doubled state spending since 2019? Yeah, that's twice the rate of inflation.
What do we get for all that extra spending? Nothing.
Yeah, and get this, over 200 loopholes are buried in our tax code, written by lobbyists for wealthy corporations.
Our tax code is rigged against us.
We get taxed on our paycheck, our home, everything we buy.
I guess somebody's got to pay for all that spending.
That's why we need Amendment 5. It puts politicians on a leash.
Forces them to cut taxes and control spending, whether they like it or not.
Amendment 5 closes the loopholes, eliminates income taxes, cuts property taxes, and gives $3,000 a year to average working families.
We decide, not the politicians.
Amendment 5 is the biggest tax cut in Missouri history.
I'm voting yes on Amendment 5. Paid for by Missouri Promise PAC. Mark Ellinger, Treasurer.
Listen up. If you have not paid self-employment, business, or individual taxes in years, the IRS will find you. Hi, this is Lance Story with the Lance Story Law Firm. I offer real solutions. If you have unfiled returns, unpaid taxes, levies, or liens, call me, Lance Story, today and let me get between you and the IRS. I'll protect your rights, including your right to appeal or even your right to take the IRS to tax court. At the Lance Story Law Firm, our practice is focused 100% on fighting the IRS. Remember, IRS problems are legal problems, and they need to be handled by an expert attorney who's done it for decades. So call the Lance Story Law Firm today. We're local. Our office is right here in St. Louis. Call 314-260-6120 or visit LanceDruryLaw.com to schedule your free consultation with your local tax resolution law firm.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Dave. Right now, buy 4 windows and get 4 for free and 48 months with 0% interest, same as cash. Call 314-334-2522. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
For all station contest rules, go to KMOX.com/rules.
This is 104.1 FM KMOX. Here's what's happening. Michigan has joined Minnesota in reporting cyber attacks on water systems. An official there says all are operating safely. President Donald Trump has announced new talks to wind down the war in Iran starting Monday. He said he's holding off on massive strikes at the urging of Gulf allies. And Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has issued a formal order terminating President Donald Trump's $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund. Roger Brand is in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center. How do the roads look, Roger?
No, pretty good for most folks, Megan. This traffic report to service at Chesterfield Fence and Deck, but we do have an incident out west on eastbound 70. I can't tell if it's a stall or a crash, but it was in a traffic lane a moment ago. Eastbound 70, just before you get to 64. Eastbound 70 is slow east of Wentzville Parkway up to that scene. Northbound 270, a little busy around the Clayton Road overpass. Eastbound 64, a little slow at the Interbelt. Olive at 141, we have an injury crash. Illinois side, there's still some slow traffic. Westbound 64, Baugh Avenue to the 70 split, and eastbound 5570, a pretty solid jam from 203 most of the way through 111. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is your premier provider of fences, decks, patios, sunrooms, and more. Call them for a free estimate today. Now offering 20% off your next outdoor project. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, chesterfieldfence.com. I'm Roger Brand in the Overhead Door Company of St. Louis Traffic Center.
Thank you, Roger. It's going to be a nice day, a little warm, sunny to partly cloudy, a high of 84. Clear tonight, a low of 68, and then mostly sunny, warm in the afternoon, a high of 89. Right now we have sunshine, 69 degrees downtown at the Arch. Thanks for listening to Total Information AM. I'm Megan Lynch. The Missouri primary is tomorrow. Voters across the state preparing to make important decisions that could shape Missouri for years to come. Missouri Net's Bill Pollock spoke with reporter Matt Pilger and Missouri Independent Deputy Editor Rudy Keller about the issues, races, and ballot measures voters need to know about before heading to the polls.
We've seen tens of millions of dollars spent in the final days, Rudy, before this election. For someone who's just trying to decide how to vote, what does all that money tell us about what's really at stake?
Well, there are several things at stake. One is, for example, Governor Kehoe's ability to lead the state where he wants it to go. Amendment 5, the income tax measure, was his top priority for the year. And not only is that on the ballot, there are several Republican legislators who voted against it, and there's a couple of PACs that are spending to defeat them as they seek re-election or elevation to the state Senate.
Matt, you've been talking with voters and election officials. Are these statewide ballot measures giving people a reason to vote this year, or are most focused on their local races that they'll see on their ballots? What appears to be driving the increase or decrease in participation?
Well, I think that it's probably a combination of both of those. You know, historically, local races tend to drive turnout because voters personally know the candidates, or, you know, they're aware of the issues that are going to directly impact their communities. But, you know, this year, Amendment 4 and especially Amendment 5 have generated a level of statewide discussion and a lot of discussion that we don't normally see in an August primary. So when you're talking about potential changes to the initiative petition process or even the future of Missouri's income tax, those are issues that can motivate voters who might otherwise sit out a primary election. And, you know, election leaders are reporting stronger early voting numbers. And I think these statewide ballot measures are certainly part of that reason.
Yeah, you had mentioned that about the early voting. What are the biggest differences between those high turnout and low turnout areas, Matt?
Well, had a discussion with Secretary of State Denny Hoskins last week, and he says early voting is running ahead of previous August primaries and projects about 32% statewide turnout. You know, what I'm hearing from other election authorities that the big factor is simply that voters are becoming more familiar kind of with Missouri's 2-week no excuse absentee voting period. And also there's, you know, some contested races, uncontested races, but every election cycle, more people seem to be taking advantage of the convenience of the early voting. And beyond that, there's some very competitive races around the state, 4 statewide constitutional amendments on the ballot. And when voters feel like their vote could have a real impact, whether it's on a local race or a statewide issue, participation generally increases.
So, Rudy, you'd mentioned about some of these races, and there's some different names that people might be seeing on the ballot. And just talk about the impact in those specific areas, and then how this primary can affect us, even if we're not living in one of those areas.
Well, one thing, it'll set the tone for the state Senate. For example, in the northeast of Missouri, there's a race between to replace this outgoing state Senate President pro tem Cindy O'Loughlin, and there is a candidate who is very much a wants to be a disruptor, wants to challenge the Republicans and the programs that they've been having in Jefferson City. There is Cindy O'Laughlin and that man's name is Dusty Blue. Cindy O'Laughlin has endorsed State Representative Ed Lewis of Moberly, and then State Representative Greg Sharp of Northeast Missouri is running in that district, and he was one of the 4 members of the House who voted against the legislation that became Amendment 5. So he is one of the candidates being targeted by something called the Republican Accountability Project. So, and then you go down to Southwest Missouri, and there is a woman named Lori Rook. She's an attorney in Springfield, and she's got a PAC that's called Firebrand PAC. So that kind of tells you what her point of view is and what she intends to do. And she's trying to defeat the state senator Curtis Trent, who wants to be the Senate Republican Majority Leader. And he has spent $500,000 through a PAC called 417 PAC attacking Lori Rook. So these are among the 11 primaries for state Senate we'll be watching, and it will set the tone and it'll set the agenda for the state Senate in the coming year.
11 primaries, is that a big number?
It is.
Yeah.
There are 17 state Senate races on the ballot. There will be 11 new members of the Senate. The 11 new members in the primaries don't necessarily line up, but those 11 primaries where hundreds of thousands of dollars is being spent, both in Democratic and Republican leaning districts, is something that these races are just getting more and more expensive, and the money coming in is out of the hands of the control of the candidate. So if you see something that doesn't have a candidate's name on it, for example, in your mailbox, that's going to be a PAC that is either dedicated to one or the other candidates in the race involved, or an outside spending group like this Republican Accountability Project that is playing in a number of races. The one I said, the We the People Priorities PAC, well, there's a dozen House candidates that are being attacked by that PAC for being opposed to Amendment 5.
That is Missouri Independent Deputy Editor Rudy Keller, along with Missouri Net's Bill Pollock and Matt Pilger.
Considering buying or selling a home? When it comes to the Gelman team with eXp Realty, numbers don't lie. Over 1,500 Google and Zillow 5-star reviews, nearly 6,000 homes, and $2.5 billion in real estate sold. Call 314-336-1991, thegelmanteam.com.
Registered lobbyist Mike Deering is not the kind of guy you want in the state Senate.
Did you say he was a registered lobbyist?
Sure did. When conservatives like Tricia Burns tried to pass a bill to take back the 300,000 acres in Missouri allowed to be controlled by China, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against it. When conservatives like Tricia Burns fought alongside Missouri cattlemen to require foreign beef to be labeled, lobbyist Mike Deering testified against that too. While conservatives like Tricia Burns are fighting to protect your farmland from being paved over by data centers, lobbyist Mike Deering described Google's Montgomery County hyperscale data center as a very positive thing. Deering also endorsed liberal Democrat Chris Koster for governor and openly mocked President Trump. Registered lobbyist Mike Deering, anti-Trump, pro-Democrat, bought out by foreign ag interest, and in love with data centers. Take down data center Deering on August 4th. Vote America First conservative warrior Tricia Burns for state Senate.
Paid for by Mo Constitutional Conservative Council PAC, Scott Lady Treasurer.
Celebrate the month of August with Zero Res and buy 2 rooms of carpet cleaned and get 2 rooms for free. Plus, take 20% off air duct services and products. Book online at ZeroResSTL.com and take advantage of the great savings.
The soundtrack of classic rock is coming to Hollywood Casino Amphitheater August 6th. Leonard Skinner and Foreigner joining forces for one epic night of legendary hits and unforgettable memories. It's the Double Trouble Double Vision Tour. From Sweet Home Alabama to Cold as Ice. Don't miss your chance to experience these 2 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame acts in one incredible show. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Broadcasting from the Scott Credit Union Studio, 104.1 FM, KMOX.
I'm Megan Lynch. Thanks for joining me this morning for Total Information AM. It's time for our weekly visit with KMOX media expert, author, and public speaker, Julie Smith. One of the things that I love that Julie brings us every once in a while is lists of new terms for our digital lives. So, Julie, what did you bring us today?
New terms you didn't know, right?
Or need.
Or need, definitely. Well, my two favorite are at the top of the list, infogestion and infobesity. It's the feeling that we get from consuming way too much information and we don't even know how to process all of it. So I know that many of us suffer from infogestion and infobesity. But there's also a term called data poisoning. And what that is when you willingly feed false information into a large language model so that it will train itself on false information. So it's like the equivalent of printing a textbook full of inaccurate information.
That almost sounds criminal.
Right. Well, I think it can be in many cases. So that's data poisoning. Then there's also one called ambient awareness. And that's when you feel like you know somebody because you follow them on Facebook. Like you feel like you know about their vacation and their kids and things like that, but you really don't know them very well. It's when you mistake being familiar with someone for a friendship.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can kind of see that.
Yeah, where you feel like you know somebody, but you really don't. It's creepy in a way, actually, when you really think about it. Here's my new favorite. It's called phubbing, and it's spelled PH. Why it's spelled PHUBBING? I don't know. I don't ask questions. But when you're phubbing, you are in a room with someone, but you're on your phone. So
are you texting them or you're just...
No, you're basically saying you are not as interesting to me as what is on my phone right now. So you could be texting someone else. You could be scrolling. It's just ignoring the person that you're with physically in favor of your phone.
I may have purposely phubbed.
Yeah, well, we can talk about that later. I see phubbing all the time, especially like before class starts. They're all phubbing. They're not talking to each other at all, even though they're all in the same room physically, which is interesting.
Now, I do remember a situation. This was some years ago when my kids were younger, and it was this guy who went viral because he was accusing parents at the playground of phubbing, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you've taken your kids out, you're not paying attention to them, they're playing on the playground, and you've got your head in your phone.
Mm-hmm.
And that guy took severe backlash from parents who were like,
Phubbers?
It's the only break we get. So that's another way of looking at phubbing.
I can get that. Yeah, I see that. That's true. Until the kid falls and breaks his leg and
Right.
you're too busy on TikTok to look up. Another term is called synthetic consensus. This is the idea that everyone agrees with something. Everyone is on the same page about something. But that's not necessarily true because of AI and bots and AI slop can manufacture the illusion that everyone thinks and feels a certain way when that's really not true, which leads to something called the spiral of silence, or also called pluralistic ignorance, meaning you're not going to say what you really think about an issue because you are under the impression, falsely, that everyone disagrees with you.
Because this post got 500 likes, but you don't know how many of them are actually bots.
Right. Or, you know what, I'm not going to bring this up at this dinner party because I think everybody disagrees with me. We self-censor, but we're self-censoring based on what could possibly be false impressions. And then, this one makes a lot of sense. It's called retention editing, and it's editing a clip specifically to keep people's attention. And we all have really short attention spans, right? So every clip now, every video has constant zooms in, zooms out, lots of jump cuts, lots of captions, lots of jolts, anything to keep our eyes on the screen. And I see this all the time, retention editing. And I think that's why it's really hard for people to just sit and read a novel, because there's no jump cuts, there's no zooming, there's no jolts or anything to make us visually intrigued.
I would say, though, that is an old technique in some respects.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it's done in a briefer or more brief period of time than it used to be. I mean, we use sound in radio all the time to grab attention.
Well, sure.
Natural sound, 3-second sound bite of someone to get your attention, to
As
get
a
you
hook.
into the rest of the story.
But think visually, next time you're watching a cable news program, count how many things on the screen are moving. Besides the anchor, whoever's talking, you've got the trail at the bottom that's constantly moving. You've got the Dow Jones Index in the corner. You've got the logo of the news station twirling in the background. That's retention editing. It's visually changing and interesting, so it keeps us watching.
It's no wonder our nervous systems can't calm down.
It's because we have infogestion and infobesity. Yeah, so who knows what the next new media terms are going to be.
All right. Thank you, Julie.
You bet.
That is KMOX media expert Julie Smith joining us this morning here on KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Health Trends, sponsored by Ethos.
Some spots to remember when applying your sunscreen.